So if any of you out there can actually hear me, I'm still working through a lot of issues here. I can see one eyeball, so I think there is actually one person on here. But I haven't figured out how to do the comment section yet, so give me just a second here. Sorry, I'm doing all of this on the fly. So pause that. Wow, this is going to be a disaster. I apologize ahead of time. Oh, there you go. Somebody made a comment. Awesome. Okay, so this is working. Somebody's watching. Okay. I think I'll actually just wait for a few more people because I ended up saying that it was going to be 2 o'clock. And I'm not sure if everybody knows how to log in. I'm not sure if they actually understood that it was just my regular YouTube channel. So, oh, there's one person I know. The Chinese characters, I know who that is. Okay, so actually, could you just let me know with, a thumbs up or something if you can actually hear me? That's the first test I need to do. Can you hear me speaking? I guess you can see me. Somebody mentioned the background. No? Nobody's going to comment? Oh, okay. So I guess everybody can hear me. I'm just going to assume that's the case. So let's wait for a few more people. This is kind of cool. I can see on the top of my screen there's an eyeball section. So there's 30 people watching right now, which is pretty scary. Have to admit, I was quite terrified to hit go live here. Everybody can hear me? Okay, good. So I'm just going to get right into this because I have no idea how long it's going to be. So first of all, I don't know if I'm supposed to look there, look here, look over here at my screen. I have no idea. So I'm going to just go through this one time. I'll watch the rebroadcast later, and I'm sure I will figure out what I'm doing here. So I am just going to go ahead and start. I've got a little checklist here. We did the sound check. I can actually see the comments. One thing I want a little bit of help with, there's a comment right now on my screen from Brian Lynn. Can everybody in the comment section see his comment? Because of all the comments that are going are popping on my screen. I'm wondering if everybody can see that as well. That would be pretty cool. Look at the camera. Sorry, Maggie. I have no idea where I'm looking. Just forgive me for one time while I watch the rebroadcast, and then I'll figure out how to set this up. Right now, my camera's about a foot above my computer screen, so it's going to look like I'm looking down. But trust me, I will figure this out. Give me a few weeks. The live streams will get better. This is honestly just for a test. So let me go through my checklist here. Intro videos. So I'm going to hit you with a video, and just give me a thumbs up if you can hear. All right. Did everybody see that, hear that? Not that you care. You don't need the disclaimer. We're not going to be talking about anything too serious today, but did you at least see the videos? Check the comment section. This is pretty cool, actually. I'm already kind of enjoying this. I got to tell you, I was so nervous hitting the button. I've been sitting here at my computer for an hour, just butterflies in my stomach. I was going to try to make up an excuse and say that I had some sound issues or something. I did not want to hit that go live, trust me. So this isn't so terrible. And it actually reminds me, I don't know if some of you know, but I used to be a professional golfer years ago. I retired in 2005. But the butterfly feeling that I used to have on the first tee in every single tournament, if people tell you they're not nervous when they're teeing off, they're probably lying. That feeling, I haven't felt this in 15 years. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, so I want to just go through my little checklist here of things that just to confirm that the software works and that you are actually looking at the right things. So the first thing I'm going to do is check a screen share. I've got that set up here. And I'm just going to pull up a spreadsheet. Essentially just, I don't know, showing you something in a spreadsheet just to make sure that everybody can see this. I've got a lot of data in my spreadsheet, so of course it will be important for me to go through a few of these things. And hopefully right now you're not looking at my face, you're actually looking at a spreadsheet that's, you know, I will expand on all of this stuff later on, but just make sure that you can actually see that. I'll go back to my face, and there might be a little bit of delay in the comments, so if I look like an idiot, I'm just staring off into blank space, it's because I think there's a little bit of a delay. So just let me know if you saw that spreadsheet when I put it up on the screen. Yes, video worked. Okay, good. Thank you very much. That's awesome. So screen share works, which means I can go to the next test here. Nope, did that wrong already. Go back to the screen share. And now, let me know if you can actually see my Thinkorswim software. So right now I'm basically showing the chart of the S&P 500 here. This is Thinkorswim from TD Ameritrade. It's not a software that I use for my actual portfolio, but this is the software that I always use for the videos because this looks way better. My long-term portfolio is with Interactive Brokers, and it's just the ugliest software you've ever seen. It's terrible for videos. So in the past, once I started to actually show some option trades, I wanted to actually show the pictures and show how I do things. This is way more presentable than anything at Interactive Brokers. So this is the software that you are going to get used to seeing. Basically, if we ever do any trades, if I show you stuff, it'll be with that software. But that's, of course, not where I actually do my long-term portfolio. Let me just check the comments. Toss is working. Thank you very much, everybody. So, like an unprepared fool here, I'm going to look at my checklist. All right, spreadsheet good, toss good. All right, that's, I hate to say it, that's pretty much all I had prepared today. So I thought that was going to take at least an hour. I was anticipating some massive technical failures today. So, but thanks everybody for joining. We can talk for a little bit here, but looks like there's 50 people watching. I'll probably go over all of this stuff again. We're going to do, you know, a more formal presentation. I'll give people a heads up. I'll give you the time. You can make yourself a coffee and join me for the live streams. But a lot of you might be wondering why I'm even doing this, right? Because I've been making videos for, I feel like 5 years now. I think I joined YouTube in 2016. And I actually did videos way before that. I just didn't upload them. I sent it to the community privately. So you might be wondering why I'm doing this at all. And it's a very good question because videos are a good way to communicate and they're very easy. So basically the reasons that I wanted to attempt this, and this experiment might fail miserably, I might end the live streams, I have no idea what the future holds. But one of the things that I was thinking about is that I actually do have a lot of data, right? Going back to the spreadsheets. I have a lot of spreadsheets. I have, you know, I've been doing this for 15 years, right? I've been investing and I'm a very data-driven investor. So, I mean, I've got spreadsheets so long they crash my computer, right? I mean, we've got any number of things I could be showing. This is being transferred over because one of my other spreadsheets crashed. So I have to still fill in all this data. But, I mean, it's just pages and pages and pages of spreadsheets that I figured. The way that I currently do my videos, it's usually one topic per video, and it's fairly slow. I've got hundreds of video ideas. So I thought perhaps having live streams, I might actually be able to cram in a little bit more data and actually share a lot of more interesting stuff much faster, right? So that's the first reason. Second reason would be that I've mentioned this to the VTS community a lot. I'm not saying this to complain, so don't think that I'm complaining here. but I do actually spend about 4 to 5 hours every single day, weekends included, holidays, every single day, just answering emails. So at least half my day, I typically work about 70 hours a week, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. One of the commenters in the section there will attest to that she lives with me, and she knows that, yeah, I work about 10 hours a day, every single day, and I don't take any vacations, ever. So one of the parts of my job is just customer service. I have to answer questions. These are my portfolios, my strategies, and questions come in repeatedly. It doesn't matter what day, what the markets are doing. We get a lot of questions. So I figured that, and I should say, again, I'm not complaining. I understand. I've always had the policy of treating everybody as if they're my only subscriber. So I always answer the questions. I always have patience. You're not going to get one-word answers when you email me. I do try to give everybody the time as if it's the first time they've ever asked me something. And obviously, I've answered the same questions a million times before. But I thought that with the live streams, as you guys are answering questions or asking questions, I'm answering them. It may actually reduce some of that burden. I'm not sure. We'll see how this goes. But if I'm answering questions, week in and week out, and you're listening to the answers, it might reduce the burden. So, and that'll be a good thing. People can actually learn from that. And I'm hopeful that it's going to be good for you guys and also free up some time for me, because I do have a lot of good ideas and a lot of videos to get to and strategies to introduce, but emails are always first, right? The answering the questions is always first. I will skip the daily blog. I will skip the daily email. I'll take 2 weeks off of videos if I have to. My email list is always first. So if I reduce the burden there, I can actually do more videos for you. So there's that. And then there's also just the interaction. So this is the part that I'm terrible with now because I just started. I don't even know what I'm looking at here, the comment section. But I'm hoping that once I get better at this, it'll feel more like a community. We can all talk to each other. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of the reason why I'm doing these live streams. So I just want to double up here. Just check to make sure before I actually go into something specific. I'm going to go back to my screen share, go back to my Thinkorswim, and just before I actually execute a trade here, I want to make sure that you can actually see this. So I'm going to minimize it again and go to the home page. Just waiting for somebody to just give me a confirmation that you actually just saw that before I go on a trading rant that just doesn't seem to be updating. Doesn't seem to be updating. You know what? I'm just going to assume that you see it. So I'm going to go to my screen share here. Go to my Thinkorswim account. And I figured one of the things that we could actually do here, honestly, I thought that the technical troubleshooting, I thought this was going to take a long time. I thought I was going to do a full hour, just not know what I'm looking at. But everybody has helped me so much that we can actually maybe do a little trade here. So today, if you're a member of the VTS community, then you will be aware that there was a new trade today. So if you're not aware, of course, you're free to follow for free on the YouTube channel. You don't have to pay me any money. You can ask me questions. You can interact. It's totally fine. The people that actually pay me money are the ones that want to see my actual portfolio, and I go through those trades for people. So for them, everybody is aware that there was a new trade today. So why don't we just go ahead and execute that right now? Now, the one thing I should mention, for all of my official trading, and many of you know this, I wait until market close, or maybe 10 to 15 minutes before market close, to ever do any trading. And, sorry, stop my train of thought there. Somebody said something. I can try this, picture in picture. Somebody said they can't see me. Yeah, we'll see if they can see me now. I don't know. I'll watch the rebroadcast later. Again, for a reminder, if you're just coming in, this is my first stream ever, so this is all just being done on the fly. But we had a new trade today. So what you're seeing here, this is the leveraged total portfolio. And this is what I'm going to be trading in this little test account for people. Again, my actual portfolio is with Interactive Brokers, but it's the worst software ever. So this position right here, this TLT, we are today in the VB threshold strategy. We're moving out of TLT and back into the SSO. So I'm just going to execute this and just kind of show you how easily this can be done. Now, again, I would have waited till market close, but everybody's online. Let's just go ahead and fire this off now. So I am going to close this. You can see I have 194 shares. TLT is a very liquid product. Move that out of the way. You can see the bid-ask spread is a penny. So typically I'll just eyeball the numbers really quick, make sure it's right. But I'm just going to go ahead and send that. And because it's TLT, it's very liquid. Everything we trade is very liquid. We always trade indexes, and there's always a lot of volume on these. So then the next thing I need to do, which unfortunately I didn't bring my phone with me, so I will just take a little position in SSO. So now I'm going to go to my trading window. SSO is trading at 94.67. I'm just going to divide 30,000 divided by 94.67. And I'm going to buy 316 shares of SSO. And remember, this is executing what we took today in the VTS community, moving out of TLT into SSO. Again, this is a pretty liquid product, but I will always try to get the mid price. So I will make sure everything's right. It's about the right account value. Go ahead and send that. And again, you're probably not going to have too much trouble executing these trades quite quickly because these are really, really large products, especially SSO. If we get into things like UST, for example, the next time one of those trades comes up, I will go ahead and show you that. But SSO is going to be fast. Basically, everything you're looking at there is going to be really, really quick. So that's it. That's my day. So if you were a member of the VTS community, you only had one trade today. Honestly, it's a minute. It's literally a minute. Oh, I have a little bit of buying power issue there. I'll deal with that later. So that's it. So let me go back to the chat here. Go back to my face here and see if I can practice looking at the camera rather than my computer. And bear with me. I'm just going to go through these comments. The problem, I mean, you might think that I'm fumbling around and I'm kind of an idiot here. The problem is that the comments don't appear when I hit my screen share. Everything disappears and it doesn't show me any of the comments. So I actually have to look back and try to catch up with everybody here. Insight, sell, buy, and close. So questions like that, do you sell, buy, or close? It's my plan in these live streams to open up the comment section to questions when I'm specifically ready to answer the questions. So everything that is sort of a technical issue or, hey, can you explain this? I will definitely get to those. I will try to answer everybody's questions. That's the reason I'm doing this. But when I'm actually going through stuff, I won't be able to see the comments, but also I'll probably do that later on. So formats might change, but I'm thinking I might prepare a little bit of a show, maybe 20 minutes early on, teach a little bit of a concept, go through a spreadsheet like we did there, just go through a few quick trades. And then later on, sort of at the end of the live stream, I could then open it up for comments and questions. And I could do my best to read them out and try to answer a few things. So was that the leveraged total portfolio? So yeah, I can answer that now. What I'm doing with this, again, my long-term portfolio is with Interactive Brokers. This account, I can actually go to my Ameritrade page. Oh, sorry. You're just staring at me. I'm going to forget that a lot. Screen share, picture in picture. There we go. So hopefully you're looking at this correctly. I'll just minimize and go back again. So this is my Ameritrade account. This, you can see, this is the exact same account that you were looking at in Thinkorswim, right? This amount and this amount. This is the same account. So you will very often see me open this from here on out. Now, what this account is, if I go back just 3 months, of course, you can see that I have just recently funded this account. I put 132,000 into this account because I wanted to show Thinkorswim in my live streams. I really, really don't want to do interactive brokers. It's awful. So I have just recently funded this account. So I can just go to the custom dates here. I funded it on the 29th, and we can go to today. And so this is what it looks like. Get used to seeing this. I don't mind showing this. Remember, this is just a testing account, so I'm not going to be, trying to hide account numbers, and I'm not trying to be sheepish with, I can't show this and can't show that. The reason I wanted to have this open as a test account is so that I can just show stuff. I mean, it's a live stream. I don't want to be thinking on the fly of how do I hide my account numbers and all that stuff. So this account is just going to be our public live stream account. And feel free to ask any questions anytime you have about this account. But what I've decided to do, because it's it's not a small account, but it's a test account. What I've decided to do is just trade one of the portfolios. Again, I'm having faith here that everybody watching can actually see what I'm doing. I'll watch the rebroadcast in case I made massive errors here. But what I've decided to do with this account is trade the leveraged total portfolio. Almost. I'll get into this volatility allocation in a second. But at VTS, of course, our leveraged total portfolio is 5 strategies together. So it's these 5: balanced, aggressive vol, VB threshold, defensive rotation, and VTS options. I will be trading those 5 in this account. So that's all that will be in this account. Except I'm making one switch. Instead of this aggressive vol, I'm going to switch it for the tactical volatility. And the only reason I'm doing that is because in the options portfolio, we have it's not new to me, but it's a newer strategy called vol trend. And I'm getting a ton of interest. A lot of people are asking questions about it. So I thought I would show people how the vol trend, which is, you can see, is these 2 trades, how that interacts with the VXX put options from the tactical volatility. So I just thought it would be more interesting for the community to watch me trade the tactical volatility instead of the aggressive vol, which is just SVXY. It's just long ETF positions. Not overly exciting. It's probably more interesting for people if I show this one, which is our long put option in June for the tactical volatility strategy. So that's the only replacement I made. I will be trading these 4 plus VIX options in its entirety, and over here, the vol trend strategy. So this is just something that I was thinking about. How am I going to show these live streams? When you see the positions that I'm in, that's what you're looking at. It is essentially leverage total portfolio except tactical vol. That's it. So when you are looking at my portfolio, that's what you're going to be seeing. And then, of course, I will just scale my other account. I will trade the other non-leveraged version a little bit more in the other account and a little bit less with the aggressive vol and tactical volatility. So that's why that trade that I just did in TLT and SSO, that's why that's the one that you saw. So, wow, it's been 25 minutes. It feels like 3. I don't know about you. You probably think I'm rambling like crazy. I tend to do that. You'll get used to it. I tend to ramble on. It feels like I just started 3 minutes ago. So I don't know what's going on here. See if there's any more quick questions. I know. Cal says it's weird to see me looking down. I know. So what you're seeing here is what you see in all my videos. But for my videos, I'm standing up, so it's pretty hard not to just look right at the camera. Right now, the way I have it set up, I'm sitting at my desk. My laptop is quite low. The camera's up there, so there's actually quite a gap between where the camera is and where my laptop is. What I think I'm going to do is, of course, adjust this setup so I don't, you're not looking at the top of my head while I'm doing these streams. Some more lighting. Well, my lighting's there. Like more lighting in my room or more lighting on me? Probably on me. I don't think you want to see the room. This is a pretty boring room. There's hardly any furniture in it, so I don't think you're too interested in that. But I could try to light myself better. Yeah, for anybody wondering, this is I'm in Vancouver right now. I travel around a lot. I move around a lot. If you're in the VTS community, you will know that. But right now I am in Vancouver. So this is called Cole Harbor. It's actually a really nice day out there. So I think after I'm done this stream, I'm going to go out for a long run. I don't know if you can see it, this path right here. This is called Stanley Park. And it's, I mean, even if you're not a runner, you'd probably turn into a runner if you lived here. It's a beautiful run. I can't wait to get out there. So my right side is a little bit darker. Thanks for all the feedback, by the way. I'll go over this more with a fine-tooth comb later on after watching the rebroadcast. The reason that one of the sides of my face, so this will show that how much of an amateur video maker I am. I basically just watch YouTube tutorials and I do what they say. So recently I was watching one that basically taught me lighting. And what they said was for live streams, you should have one light only on one side of the room. And then it gives apparently some depth to your face or whatever. Yeah. So that's why that there's actually only one light turned on right now. I could easily do one over there, but yeah. Maybe use an external monitor and a separate webcam. Last Maverick. Yeah, the stuff like that, I mean, really helpful tips. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing. You might think that I do because I've been making YouTube videos for a while, but my videos are all pretty much exactly the same. I am such a creature of habit. And when I made my first video and I wasn't totally embarrassed about it, I've done that exact template for basically 4 years. I don't change anything. I haven't learned anything. So things like that, like external monitors, I can look into things like that. Maybe it'll add some things, like you said, add a second scene. I'm not there yet. Sorry. This is the best I got right now. Hopefully someday I can get to the point where I do have that. If there was a camera over there and it was, I could switch the button and see different scenes, I could actually make a show. What we've got going now, this is not a show. It's not going to be entertaining at all. So basically, I'm just testing to make sure everybody can see all the stuff that I will want to be showing. That was sort of the main version today. So that's why I went through the trade. I'm just going to check to see if I did that right because my brain is scrambled. I'm super nervous right now. Yep, looks all right. And the market is up 0.5% right now. It's been pretty rough lately. I don't know about the rest of you, but yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the world. I'm just going to let you know, I probably won't talk, I'd like to say at all ever about politics, but I will probably leave a little bit of space to talk about politics under the condition that it may affect the markets, right? I'm not going to talk about politics just as my opinions on, Joe Biden and Donald Trump and all the mess that goes on with U.S. politics. I'm Canadian, if you didn't know that. But, I mean, let's be honest. What happens in the U.S. affects us all. We're all Americans. So, but I won't be talking about it just as an interest sake. But if it's something that will move the markets, absolutely, I'm open to talk about that. So if you're ever asking me questions and, once we get these live streams going more regularly, feel free to ask questions, but don't be surprised if I kind of just punt on the whole answer of politics. I don't want to talk about politics unless it affects the market. So what we're seeing lately, I think it does look like there's just a lot of people nervous about this market. It does appear that nobody really knows which direction we're going to go. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It's a very news-driven market. You know, we could wake up tomorrow and something either very good could have come about and markets are up a ton. Something, obviously, some bad news could hit as well. So just check the stream here. What I also want to do is raise my computer so it doesn't look like I'm looking down to the right. That's even worse. How often do you plan on doing the live streams? Good question. I don't know. I have no idea. This is all an experiment. I clicked my first ever live stream 31 minutes ago. So this is all a work in progress. I have basically 3 communities, right? I have the VTS community, which is, what are you watching? Picture-in-picture screen share. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. I do that a lot too. Ask my girlfriend. She often thinks I'm having conversations with other people. No, it's just talking to myself. I have basically 3 communities, so hopefully you're seeing this correctly. This is the VTS community that will be all of the ETF rotation strategies. And then VTS options is a separate sort of branched off community where we are just going to be talking about option trading. So if we go, you know, very hyper specific to options only. And then the third community that I consider myself having is the YouTube community. It's just all of you who follow my work, you like what I do, but you're not ready to pay. Maybe it's not worth it for you. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you do other things with your capital. You know, what I do is not for everybody. And you certainly don't have to pay me money to follow my work. So that's why I never do any hard sell of any kind. I never do any advertising. I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm. If you want to look at my portfolio, you want to follow the trades, people are, you know, more than welcome to do that. But the YouTube community is just free. So since I have 3 communities, I'm going to have to figure out a schedule here where obviously I give priority to the VTS community for answering questions. But I may end up doing one public live stream and then doing my best to answer specific questions to the community. Or I might try to do totally separate style live streams, one for VTS, one for VTS options, only option trading, and then one for the YouTube community where I might go over some of the videos that I upload. I don't really know, but to answer the question, probably to start, let me commit to 1 per week, and we'll go from there. I'm thinking weekend. I did a questionnaire recently for my community. It went out to 3,000 people, and overwhelmingly the answer was weekends, sort of earlier morning or late morning. So I was thinking of doing some type of volatility brunch where on the weekends, maybe at around 10 o'clock or something, I would do a live stream once a week. That might be a good idea. And then if there's more interest, like I might be terrible at this. I have no idea. This might be the worst idea I've ever had. So it'll all depend on the reaction from people. But if there is some interest in watching me ramble about the markets, then I could certainly do 2 a week or, whatever. My friend David Lincoln, I'm sure some of you in the comment section here knows David Lincoln. I think it used to be called VIX Crush. That might be where you found him on YouTube. But he does basically the short vol show. And he's much more active than I am. He does several of these YouTube live streams. He basically just, I think he does 2 or 3 a week. He's really good at it. I might try to do something like he does, where if something interesting is happening, I might just jump on and just do a spontaneous stream. I don't know. This is all new to me. What do you want? Leave in the comments. What do you think I should do? It's all up to you. I am just busy on my spreadsheets every day doing my work. So if it's not for answering questions and giving you the content you want, that's what I'd be doing with my time. Tom, Canadian U.S. Treasury treasury equivalents offered by Horizon have poor bid-ask spreads. Yeah, they do. They really do. Well, all of those do. I don't know what platform you're using, but oftentimes they'll be .to. A lot of those funds will have lower bid-ask spreads, especially the Canadian hedged ones. So what you're going to have to decide is how worth it is for you. I'm assuming you're doing that because you don't want to have the exchange rate fees. Every time you do a trade, you have to exchange. I don't know how you're going to want to deal with that. Obviously, I can't give out any personalized investment advice. But yeah, the bid-ask spreads are a little bit of a problem, especially if you want those Canadian hedged versions. They're not that widely used. So I would say track everything. That's usually my answer for these types of things. Track it. Make sure you take note of the price that was trading when you executed, and then see how close to that you can get. If it's really close, if it's a penny or two, it's not really going to matter long term. If you're noticing significant slippage, then you might want to consider, doing a currency exchange in the beginning and then just trading in US dollars, or, again, I'm probably already getting too specific. I didn't put up any disclaimers or anything. Again, I don't want to have to do that. I hope I don't have to do that. I just want to talk and be me. But yeah, that's what I would recommend, is that track everything for a few months, see how it goes. If you're noticing too much slippage, you're just annoyed and frustrated that you feel like you're losing a little bit of money every time you do a transaction, you might just want to consider setting it all up in US dollars. That's what I do. I'm not even American, but everything I do is US dollars. Everything. All my accounts are denominated in USD. It's just easier for me, so I don't have to worry about it. If I want to trade the S&P 500, buy the SPY. If I want to trade treasuries, TLT, IEF, lots of choices. So that's what I do. Larry Fabian, frictionless option model. Do you know a programmer? No, I don't know any programmers. And further than that, I have zero programming skills at all. I basically use computers and programs, so they work for me. Same with Excel. I'm not that great with Excel. I have 10, 15 years of Excel spreadsheets going back. I'm not an expert. I just make it work for me. So programming, that's all right over my head. Yes, I'm interested in making $1 billion as a partner. Yeah, that would be nice. Oil futures. Bjorn, I don't do any futures trading, and that also includes, which is probably going to be some questions, I don't trade any VIX futures either. All trading that I do is stocks, ETFs, and options. That's it. No futures, no commodities, no none of that. If you follow my work, you might get an idea of why that is. I'm not a technical analysis type of guy, and I do find, I'm not presuming that that's what you do with your trading, but I do notice that a lot of futures and commodities traders, they are using sort of the traditional TA for their signals. And, if it works for you, fantastic, but that's not my style. I'm more of the quant-based. I build systems and rules-based strategies where I'm tracking volatility metrics, and if it's in certain ranges and the momentum is changing, that's what's sort of informing my trade decisions. So futures to me I just don't have the data. I just can't get the historical data that I would need to make a real honest effort in successfully trading futures. So just not my style. Got to stick to what works for you. Not saying it can't. I know there's futures traders out there that are very successful. Just not for me. And that includes VIX futures. Why bother? I can just trade the ETFs, the options. Good enough. Yep, you can always email me. That could have been one of the things I could have prepared here. Could have prepared a little bit of a slide. My email's volatilitytradingstrategies@hotmail.com or at gmail.com. I check both, 100 times a day. No crypto trades. Nope, never traded crypto. Am I still on the picture-in-picture? Screen share. Can you see my Twitter account if I open this? I tweeted out recently. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. It's very recently. This one here, timestamp this tweet. As of January 7th, 2021, I have never owned Bitcoin. The reason I posted this, sort of tongue-in-cheek, a little bit, but I'm getting pretty tired of all the people saying that, they've been holding Bitcoin for years and they're making all this money. We can see the Bitcoin statistics behind the scenes. There aren't actually that many who are participating in this market, at least not to any major extent. So I'm certainly not going to pretend that I was some, retroactive Bitcoin holder. I've never traded crypto, but I do plan to. So it would be as a complete rookie, you'd be well advised to take my trades with a grain of salt, because as I said, I've never done it yet. But hopefully I'm a quick study, and it does look fun, doesn't it? I mean, anything that moves that much, I don't know if I should get into my Bitcoin politics here, but I don't necessarily believe in the future so much, but it is a market that is exciting. So there's that. I mean, I might want to jump in just for that, but no, I've nothing crypto yet. Is this how you will be answering questions now? Zachary Lorch asked, or at least the medium in which you will. I will always prioritize my emails. So like I said, that's 5 hours of my day. I usually divide it up into 2 sections, morning and night, and I just get through as many as I can. That's my top priority. But I am hoping that these live streams allow me to answer some questions live. If you hear the answer, if you happen to catch the live stream, if it works out that way, then maybe you wouldn't email me. But I will always answer emails. So the email that I gave you, it's volatility trading strategies at gmail.com or at hotmail.com. Either one, I will always answer those. I think it might not be futures you don't like, but commodities, since their price doesn't follow the same rules as companies and indices. I think that's probably a fair point. I'm always interested in things that I can quantify, and anything that sort of deviates outside of the realm of what I consider statistically predictable, then I'll just avoid it. And that's the basic answer. Why no Bitcoin? Well, maybe you know more about it than me, but I don't see any way to really nail down any specific metrics that are determining its price movements yet. And until I do, I'm not saying they don't exist. I'll be looking, but until I actually find something that is quantifiable, I can't do it. I always say, if I can't build it in a spreadsheet, I can't trade it. And that's Bitcoin to me. That's gold to me. I just, maybe you know more than I do, but I just can't find any predictable ways to quantify what's going on in those markets. So I've stayed away. You don't have to swing at every pitch. You don't have to participate in every hot thing. I never owned Tesla either. I don't feel the slightest bit bad about that. I don't regret it at all. It's just not for me. I didn't understand it. Didn't get it. So I stayed away from it. Can't quantify it. How could I possibly predict something? What is it, up 1,200% this year? If I can't build in a spreadsheet, I can't trade it. So that's why I've stayed away from both of those, Bitcoin and Tesla. Also precious metals. Yeah, same thing. Sort of the same ballpark. I often call it the greater fool theory. Now, hopefully I didn't just trigger anyone. I'm not calling anybody who buys those things a fool, so don't mistake me for that. But the greater fool theory in economics is essentially that we're always looking for what's the value. We want to quantify the value. But the greater fool theory basically says that the value of something is just simply that somebody in the future, a greater fool, will pay more than you paid for it. So under that theory, Bitcoin, I didn't even look today. What is it at? 38,000-ish, 36,000. I know it went down to 31 and then it bounced pretty strong. Some store of value, right? Up, down 20%, then up 10. Anyway, greater fool theory would say that we don't really have to worry about the actual quantifiable value of Bitcoin. We just have to make sure that we are buying it at a price that we're fairly confident somebody in the future will pay more than we did. right? That's the general theory. So Bitcoin is a greater fool investment. There's no question about it. And I'm not saying that as a derogatory. It just is. So is gold. They're just greater fool investments. It doesn't mean you can't make a fortune on them. And it doesn't mean, smart people don't trade them. It is what it is. It's an economic term. It's not a slang, or it's not a slander. And just the way my brain works, I'm very analytical. I don't trade greater fool investments. I can play, but it'll probably just be a couple of coins. 35,000. Yeah. I mean, it was at 41, and then it was at, 31, I think. I mean, it crashed on the weekend. And then now it's already bouncing hard. So that looks like fun. Is there a way to replicate the VTS strategy for members of the European Union? We are banned of trading US ETFs like SPY. Okay. For every non-European watching right now, take a 1 minute break from listening to me. This is going to be boring for you. But yes, the European Union, if you're a resident of the European Economic Area, you will be restricted, unfortunately, from buying a lot of the US-based ETFs. They call it the MiFID II regulations, MiFID 2. And let me pull up an article here. I'm going to search for this article while I'm talking because it might take me a while. This is my website here. Again, I want to double check to make sure I'm on a screen share, that you're actually seeing what I'm doing and not just staring at my face. Picture in picture is gone. Picture in picture is back. Okay, so the MiFID II rules, yeah, it's going to be restrictive on what you can buy. The financial institutions, in their wisdom, think that, wow, that was lucky. Look at that. I nailed it. This is page 5, top of the page on my website. There's an article called European Investing Solutions. What the government has essentially done is they require what's called a KID. It's a separate form that breaks down in sort of the right language, the right regulatory environment, specific, like if you're in Belgium, they need to have the KID documents actually line up exactly with what Belgium regulations have, not the S&P 500 with the SEC in the United States. So it makes it actually, if these ETFs don't go above and beyond and go out of their way to create KID documents for all, 27, member countries, then they're just kind of banned off the list and you can't trade them. So there are a few choices. The first and most obvious choice, you can read this article. Like I said, it's on my blog, page 5, nailed it on the first try there. First option is to do options. All right, so what you can do is you can use stock replacement, where you are buying in the money options to replicate the actual position. I can give you an example from my portfolio here. This position in VXX right now, you can see I have 20 June 25 puts. Now this position, this is an options position, but it is simulating the underlying VXX. So if the VXX goes down, I'm going to be able to participate in that trade because I'm holding the deep in the money put options. So one of the things, and the reason I'm bringing this up, is because the MiFID II regulations don't cover options trading, at least not always. I mean, obviously I'm not registered advisor in your area, so definitely check with a lawyer. But when you do the options, you are typically allowed to trade those options long only, right? You're not going to be able to trade undefined risk options, but long only options, like long put options for VXX, because we are short vol traders, and long call options for the other ETFs if you want to participate in stock replacement with those. You can consider that. Now, there's one issue that you will encounter is that, well, two issues. A, if the ETF price is really high, like say it's a $200 or $300 ETF, then you're going to need a very substantial account size to be able to do this. You can't do stock replacement if you're trading with, $10,000 or $20,000. And the second thing is, of course, you're going to need a liquid options market. So it depends on which ETF you're talking about, but that's one of the workarounds. That's probably the easiest and best workaround. The other one, and again, I would encourage you to read the article because I think a lot of people in the chat right now who aren't Europeans are probably wondering why I'm talking about this. The other option would be CFDs. You know, you can trade, where is it? Right here. There's a whole section on CFDs, contract for difference. It is a way to participate in the underlying security without actually holding the ETF. So you want to look into that as well. But just so you know, again, I'm not a registered advisor, and I don't know hardly anything about European regulations. So, of course, check with a lawyer, check with an advisor. But I can say that we do have probably 150 VTS subscribers from the European Union countries, from the European Economic Area countries. So I know that there are many, many ways people can deal with this. It just takes a little bit of effort. I mean, I feel bad for you guys that the government feels like they're doing you a favor by restricting these. I think that's hurting you, if anything. I mean, they're saying that it's information in the KID documents, but how is that protecting investors? I don't know. Limiting options is never protecting investors. We want to be our own risk advisor. Now, certainly there are times when you want to read the prospectus, UVXY, for example. But yeah, you want to have as many options as you can to trade. And I totally disagree with those new rules. But there you go. So for all you European Union people, go to that article on my website. Right now it's sitting on page 5. And there's a few options in there for you. Cal asks, have you ever run into legal issues broadcasting your trades, positions, and portfolios? No, I have not. I'm careful. I'm careful to always communicate to people that the VTS community is my portfolio. This is not me trying to create a business so that I can, hustle people into paying me money. I didn't build this so that I can, do things that sell well and that are easily marketable. In fact, I would say the opposite. What I do is sometimes difficult to understand for people. If I wanted to do that, I would probably simplify the whole process and just do a bunch of YouTube ads and whatnot. So I am very careful to communicate that all you're seeing is what I do. I'm just sharing what I do. And if we live in a world where I'm not allowed to tell you what I do with my money, then I think that's kind of a problem. So I always make sure I let people know I'm not a registered advisor. I have all the Canadian certifications to be a portfolio manager. I did that many years ago. But I chose not to register. I just want to do my own thing, trade my own portfolio, and share those trades with people. So there will be disclaimers. Let me just fire one off here. Yeah, there you go. It's there's disclaimers. No issues so far. I'm just telling people what I do. Like I said, I don't mind showing this account. Now, this is not my long-term portfolio, but my portfolio is similar to this. It's very similar to what you're going to see in these live streams. In fact, I can show you that. Oh, sorry. You're looking at my face still. How many times am I going to do that? Okay, so I pull up my spreadsheet here, which I hope you can look at. This is my portfolio. And so I don't see any harm in sharing what I personally do. I think that if people find value in what I'm doing, then that's great. But you have to understand that, as they say, I'm a chef that eats his own cooking. This is what I do. My portfolio looks exactly like this. So as long as I tell people that I'm not a registered advisor and to obviously consult a professional anytime you're going to be taking trades, I don't see anything wrong with sharing what I do. Oh, my chat just seemed to jump a lot, so I probably missed a whole bunch of these. What strategy are you selling VXX puts? That's vol trend. I'm going to get into it a lot lately. Interesting that it ties in with the previous question of Do I get into trouble sharing my trades? I can just give you a little bit of a teaser here, but I'm going to flush this out with full articles and videos. Let me just check to make sure I'm on a picture-in-picture. You're actually seeing something. What are you looking at? Yeah, I'm going to flush this out in much more detail with disclaimers and warnings and caveats. But this vol trend strategy that you see here, there's just, there's 115 or something contracts there. I trade the vol trend strategy as a standalone as well. So if I open up my portfolio, this essentially, and I hope you can see this. If you can't, just bear with me. I will watch the rebroadcast and clean some of this stuff up. But this right here is the leveraged total portfolio and the non-leveraged total portfolio. And I use both of them. These two strategies here, vol wheel and VIX options, are, well, first of all, VIX options is far too complicated to share with the community. So unfortunately, I can just never share that. It's 30 to 40 trades a month. It's oftentimes intraday trading is important with that. It's just not feasible. But the vol trend, it's called vol wheel here because I've been trading this for something like 8 years in my own account. I changed the name to vol trend, and I'm going to adapt it a little bit for the VTS community. And so I give it a full 10% allocation within my portfolio. And remember, that's both portfolios, right? So what you're seeing here, this is just my testing account. So this is why I have to be very careful to have disclaimers and all that stuff, caveats before I just go start showing people this stuff. But I mean, this trade, where's my calculator? I mean, 115 times, if I get assigned those positions, it's on average of about 610. It's 100. I mean, this is it's not a small position size. $185,000 of, notional value on those contracts if I get assigned. The only reason I'm trading it here is because I thought people would be interested to see it in the live streams. So this is not scaled to the rest of the positions. Don't misunderstand. This vol trend, which we have one in the VIX options portfolio right now, it's not this trade. It's a similar trade, but this one is actually just what I do myself, which is substantially larger allocation. It's supposed to be scaled to a much larger account size. So what you see here, don't be confused. If you have $152,000 in your account, don't be going out and buying 115 contracts of this, or selling. These are naked puts. Don't be doing that. That does not scale correctly. You have to remember that this is just a testing account. This is just, let me be perfectly clear. This account was funded 3 months ago, right? 132,000. The only reason I did that amount and not less was I wanted to leave a little bit of room if I want to do portfolio margin. Typically, they require about 125,000. So I thought, I'll just put in a little bit extra and we'll just see how it goes. But this account, as I said before, I'm trading the leveraged total portfolio, except for that position. You might see some much, much larger positions in that account when it comes to VXX put options. But so I'm going to be demonstrating how I use that strategy. It's one of my best and one of my favorite and one of the most fun and one of the most active. So it might check a lot of boxes for some of the VTS followers. But yeah, as far as scaling goes, it's going to be much less than that. So don't let that contract size fool you. Does it have a track record too? Well, I mean, everything I have has a track record. Like I said, I'm just trading my own portfolio here. As far as showing track records, I don't mind showing stuff, but I've been doing this for 10 years. I don't go out of my way to sort of get into that, oh, if you're so good, prove it. Go get it audited. Send me the audited results. I'll leave that for the, the online gurus out there. All those, those people that are making outlandish claims and absurd performance numbers. I'll leave that for those guys. I'm not one of those guys. For me, I don't go out of my way. I've been posting the results on the website every single month, like clockwork, for 9 years now. Every single month, I post these numbers. You can get everything you need on the website for every strategy that we have. It's always on the website. Now, I don't say this next part to, brag or anything. It's not a flex, but the VTS community is very large. It might surprise some people how many paying subscribers there are, and I don't think they'd appreciate too much if I was posting results literally every month for 9 years and posting them wrong. I think that would be a catastrophic financial mistake on my part if I actually started doing that. If I wanted to say, hey, last month, let me find something that's not working that well. Like, some of these strategies did really well last year, but the one that actually, to be honest, just sucked was this one, the tactical volatility. I think it made 5.85% or something. Let me see if I'm showing the right screen. Yeah, it made a small percent. I don't want to show that. Ideally, I want to make 20 to 30% with that strategy. I don't want to show it, but I have to because like I said, I've got 9 years of a substantial amount of eyeballs checking those numbers every single month. What a terrible financial mistake that would be if I started posting them wrong. So no, I don't like, I'm not going to go to KPMG and audit stuff and send it to people and post it on Twitter and make YouTube ads talking about, I don't do that. I consider that sort of the online guru community, which is growing fast. Be careful out there. 99% of those claims are absolutely false. Hopefully you guys know that. Generally speaking, it's a bad idea to broadcast in front of windows like this. Yes, absolutely. It's been a real video challenge getting this camera to show up. But it looks good, right? So, there's a blank wall over there. If you watch some of my older videos, maybe 2-3 months ago, when I'm in Taiwan, I also spend a lot of my time in Taiwan. I'm right in the heart of the city in Taiwan. I live right by Taipei City Hall. So there's no views, there's no ocean, there's no nothing. So I use a blank wall. When I go home, maybe a month from now or so, I'll be right back to the blank wall. I'll set up some type of, YouTube, maybe some bookshelves to try to look smarter than I am. I'll figure something out, and it won't be quite as distracting with the window. But you have to admit, it's pretty nice. And when I'm doing my work, when I'm doing my spreadsheeting, I get a glass of wine and plate of olives or something. I turn this desk around so I'm staring that way. And then, I spread my time in different countries throughout the world. And I have found I'm very efficient here. I'm more efficient here than I am in my office in other places. And maybe just the reason, it's motivation. Plus I work out more. Like I said, I'm going running as soon as this live stream is over. It's a beautiful day out there. It's just Stanley Park's calling my name. Favorite countries, places to live. Well, it's awfully hard to beat Vancouver. I've lived in a lot of places. So as I said earlier, I used to be a professional golfer. Many, many years ago. I played pro golf from 99 to 2005. And so not only did I play across Canada, because I'm Canadian, I played in the U.S. I lived in the U.S. for 8 years, many different cities. I played in Asia, so I played in Taiwan, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia. I've been to Japan, Korea. I've been to a lot of places. Favorite places. Number 1, Vancouver. Number 2, New York. Loved my time in New York. Now, granted, that was 15 years ago. Not to get political here, but I've heard New York isn't quite what it used to be. So take that one with a grain of salt. I still do look at real estate, though. I mean, the prices in New York real estate, they've come down a lot. It is a little bit tempting to, maybe try to get some. Maybe New York is maybe this is just a short little window. I don't know. Maybe it bounces back strong. I mean, could you imagine scooping up something that 5 years ago was out of your budget, and now you can actually get a place in New York? That would be amazing. Not going to do that. But I look at real estate. I love New York. In the U.S. as well, again, recent political events I can't speak on, but I lived for 2 years in San Francisco and absolutely loved it. One of my favorite places in the world. So don't know what it's like now. Maybe I'll go back there soon, but that was good. And of course, Taiwan. I mean, people think, wow, Taiwan, what are you doing there? It's so much better than people would imagine. It's a really, really great place to live. Ultra convenient, weather's great, people are friendly. It's awesome. I love Taiwan. And if you really, really live there and work there, then you've got the benefits of, a city that's super convenient. You've got phenomenal healthcare. You've got lots of programs that are great for families. Really good country. My plans for this year are, well, I was supposed to do it last year, but because of I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word on the internet yet, but the Rona, the bug, because of the bug, I was supposed to be in Europe for 8 months. I was going to go to 2 weeks in different cities just for the entire summer. And I had it all mapped out. I had it all planned. And that, of course, got trashed. So I might do that this year. You might see if I do these live streams and they become official. I don't know. I'm terrible at this. I'm rambling. But if they do become official, then you might see that. You might see me doing live streams throughout Europe. Dubai. I also want to go to Dubai. I might actually do that in a couple months. I might go to Dubai first and then to Europe after that. But we will see. Why do so many Furus live in Thailand? Is it a tax thing? Weather, number one. Number two, Thailand has a phenomenal expat community. So that's one of the reasons. And number three, it is a tax reason. So a lot of people these days are digital nomads. They have, they have online businesses where they don't require to live in a certain country. So a lot of digital nomads go to places like Thailand because they're very friendly to digital nomads. They allow you to get visas very easily and quickly. They allow you to apply for residency very easily. Getting citizenship, I still think it's a process, 5-7 years, but becoming a legal resident in Thailand as a digital nomad is very easy, and it's becoming easier. So I think it's a combination of that. It's a digital nomad hotspot. Phenomenal weather, obviously great beaches, golf courses, and a lot of expats there. So if you're the type of person, like I speak Chinese, so when I live in Taiwan, I don't hang out with foreigners any more than I hang out with, Taiwanese people. But if you're the type of person that would be intimidated by Asia, but you want to live in Asia, then Thailand seems to be where people go, because you could easily go to Thailand and never speak a word of Thai and function just fine. Whereas in Taiwan, you can do it. I have friends that do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're going to feel like you're on the outskirts of society. So Thailand's top of the list. Dubai as well. Dubai is becoming a real digital nomad hotspot. How do I manage to send the emails every day while traveling and living in different countries' time zones? Well, just the broad answer there is I love traveling the world. It's the one thing that I don't know if it's passed down from my golf career, because of course I traveled. I was in a different city every week. I lived out of a suitcase for 8 years. Totally fine with that. Loved it. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people thought, my golfing friends back then, they thought the hardest part of being a pro golfer was the travel. I thought it was the best part. It was the perk of the job. So when I retired in 2005, it's just part of my life. So as far as the general, how do I do it? Easily. I might be going to Panama in a few weeks from now. I want to start another business over there. And if you're in the VTS community, if I didn't say it, you wouldn't even know. I'm just going to, calculate the time zone, set the alarm at the right time. It's all good. I mean, what does it matter, right? I don't care if I'm sending the email at 3 p.m. if I'm in Portugal, or if it's, right now I'm in Vancouver, so it's real early. I get up at 4:30 here in Vancouver. But, maybe if I'm in a different place, it means that I flip it. Like in Taiwan, the markets don't open until 9:30 at night, right? So I don't even start my day until, I don't even start the email until 11 at night. And then by the time I send it, it's midnight. And then I have to wait for the markets to close to do all my personal trading, because I always trade end of day, which is 4 o'clock in the morning. So in Taiwan, I am a night owl. I'm up, from whatever it is until 4 in the morning, and then I sleep till about 10 or 11 in the morning, and then I get up and do my day. When I'm here in Vancouver, I went to bed at 7:30 last night. My girlfriend was laughing at me. I went to bed at 7:30 in the evening because I had to get up at 3:30 this morning because I had stuff to do. So I just flip it. Who cares? I don't care where I am. I love it. I can adapt in an hour. I can show up to a new place, a new country, unpack, one set of clothes, and I'm good to go. So would your strategies dry up as more and more people do them? I get this question a lot. Eric, thank you for the question. Would they dry up? So the thing you have to understand about my strategies, that's a very valid question. And I'm going to try to answer this without trashing other services and without, bragging about my own. If you get to know me, I don't do that. But sometimes you just have to answer the question. So that's a very legitimate concern. And so what you want to be looking for is people who manage services with strategies that trade high volume stuff. So if you look at, I was talking the whole time on the big screen. You were just staring right at my face there. Hopefully that wasn't annoying. I was supposed to be doing a picture-in-picture, but I am a rank amateur at this live stream stuff. So hopefully you can see this, but the positions in the leverage total portfolio, I mean, these are massive ETFs. MVV is not huge, but it's, mega millions. The QLD is very big. SPY, SSO, TLT, and VXX. That's all we got going right now. And so all of my strategies are trading things that, it would take an enormous, no, I didn't mean to click that. It would take an enormous amount of volume to start actually affecting what we do. And that even translates over into the VTS or the VIX options community that I have that is separately just options. Even in that community, I trade nothing but the most liquid, most accessible products or, stocks or ETFs, basically. And this is why I said I want to dance around this a little bit because I don't want to insult too many people. But what you will notice is that there's a lot of options communities out there that are advertising phenomenal gains, right? Whether they're trying to do it intentionally or inadvertently doing it, what's end up happening is they're trading small float companies with illiquid options markets. So they take the trade, then they get their phone out and they tweet it out to the community, and then a whole bunch of people take the same trade, and the person who sent out the signal has the benefit of being first in line. So small float stock, first in line, if you've got a decent following on Twitter, you're going to be able to produce a pretty impressive looking track record. But then what ends up happening is the subscribers themselves, they're not going to be able to duplicate any of those trades. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. You've been a member of a service and you're in there and you're looking at them report the results on their website and they're talking about it on Twitter and high fives all around, except for the subscribers, right? They're not getting the return. So that's what ends up happening with a lot of these services. So for me, if you are going to be following the live streams, I'm going to be showing you every single trade. You'll see it in the account. You're never going to look into my account and you're going to see some small float stock. That's not going to happen. I don't do that. Plus, I'm the last person to take all of the trades, right? I send them out at about 11:30 in the morning, Eastern time. And I don't take any of the trades in my own account until end of day. So, 4 o'clock or 3:50 or something around there. I'm last in line. I don't do any of the front running. I don't do any of the, hey, let's buy this super small float stock that's a $3 stock with 17 contracts in the options market. Let's, let's get the whole community pouring into that one. I don't do any of that. So that's what you want to be on the lookout for. Essentially, if you're talking about massive volume stocks and ETFs, don't even worry about it. I don't anticipate you're trading on $50 or $100 million of capital. If you are, which is always possible, but no, you're not going to. Nothing at VTS is going to size out. I mean, wouldn't that be a good problem to have? If I eventually got to the point where I had to send out an email to the community and say, look, we're so big now that we're sizing out the TLT here. We're not getting efficient fill prices anymore. Wouldn't that be something? We are 17 lifetimes away from achieving that goal. So don't worry about that. Esteban says, I would like to meet up with other members of the VTS around my area, I assume. If they volunteer their information, absolutely. I mean, I want to make this a community where people can interact with each other. But what I have to be careful of is I will never share any personal information of anybody in the community. So I'm not going to tell you where any of these people live or what they do for a living or what their trading accounts are like. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. But if somebody in the comment section says, hey, it's, Dave from Dubai, you want to get together for a coffee and talk, great, you guys can meet up. But no, I won't say that. I mean, I will be traveling a lot in the future. I might do some in-person meetups. It's actually interesting, just down there, 20 seconds away from my house is where I go to the coffee shop to do a lot of my work. And I had 3 guys there about a month ago recognize me from the VTS community. One of them is he follows the YouTube channel, actually recognized me. That doesn't happen very often. Probably, 5-6 times a year, somebody will recognize me. So that was pretty cool. And then we set up a time. And the next Saturday, we went back to the same coffee shop. And there was 4 of them. They invited, a couple other friends. And we talked for a few hours. It was awesome. I'm totally down with that. If people are in my city, like I said, I'm in Vancouver. There's a coffee shop right there. You want to grab a coffee? I'm a real person running a real business. I'm not some online avatar. So if you want to meet up and you know where I am and I live close to you, sure, email me. And other people the same. If they want to volunteer, sure, that'd be good. Isaac, why not just have a Facebook group for paying members? So I'm interpreting that a couple of different ways. Do you mean where I can do private live streams for just people who are actually paying money for my services so you guys can sort of be prioritized? If that's what you mean, then I am definitely going to find a way to do separate live streams for just the VTS community. I think that's super important. Like I said, customer service is number one. It takes priority over all my videos, all my daily emails. Answering questions from subscribers is the number one thing that I do. I consider that my prime objective. But if you mean just starting a Facebook group of my own and sort of just managing a forum or a chat forum, I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'm super busy. I already work 10 hours a day, and I haven't taken a day off in a decade. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I work every single vacation, every holiday. If I'm in Thailand on the beaches, I work for 10 hours, and then I go golfing or do whatever I do. Don't have the bandwidth to manage a community. But I will say, if you want a really good Facebook community, I'm a member of one. I mentioned David Lincoln earlier. He does the Short Ball Show here on YouTube. You can email or you can search David Lincoln and maybe add Vix Crush in the YouTube bar, and you'll find him. And he manages a Facebook group. I think there's about 3,000 members, and it's a volatility specific group. So join that. Engage with that. There are people there that will, they're knowledgeable. They'll answer your questions. David Lincoln the guy's been trading for 25 years, 30 years. He was on the floor. He was a market maker. He can answer your questions. I would join that. I'm in that community. So if you ask a question there, maybe maybe if somebody else doesn't get to it, maybe I'll answer your question there. But as far as a private community for live streams, yes, I will try to figure out a way to make that happen. So, how I don't like to share numbers, but the number of people in VTS will be able to go privately and see that. Nick. Oh, first, Brian, Discord. Don't know anything about it. Heard about it, of course. It's where people can chat and engage. I've just never set one up. I can't tell you how nervous I was to do this live stream. So let's slow down a little bit on the other ideas. I'm still feeling the butterflies from just doing this. So before I go adding something else, seems like another level of management of the community. You'd have to have moderators. I'm going to get people in there that are just there to, make dumb YouTube comments. I mean, social media, you know how that goes. I'll think about it. Discord's, on the list. Nick asks, says you could assign mods to manage the community instead of doing it yourself. I could do that, but one of the things that I always make sure is that I dedicate 100% of me to anybody who's asking anything about what I do, right? It has to be me. So a lot of people have asked me when I talk about how many hours I work and how hard I work at my business, well, why don't you just hire a bunch of people? The reason is it has to be me. It has to be all me. So I can hire mods to, kick out the people who are making trouble and making insulting comments to other people if it's on a Discord. But as far as answering the questions, got to be me. Eric Grosser asks, how much of your strategy is selling premium? Okay, well, I can go through that. Let me go at a screen share here. Oh, in the comments section, this, again, if you're new, if you're just stumbling in here, this is my first ever live stream. So obviously bear with me. And if I do anything wrong, just start screaming it in the comments and I'll get the point. So if you can't see this, let me know. But we can just go through the strategies. And I'm going to go to the regular unleveraged total portfolio. I launched this in January 2012. So it's been going a very long time. And these are the strategies. The only strategy here that I would consider anything related to selling premium might be the tactical volatility, because this is a short vol strategy. Now, how we execute the trade is with long VXX put options, which is, let me just maximize. You can see here, this trade here is the tactical volatility strategy we currently have open. It is long put options, but remember, that is a short vol position. So that strategy could be considered selling premium. And then anything to do with VTS options, I'd say probably 50 to 75% of this is selling premium. And since it's a 20% allocation of the whole portfolio, you're looking at maybe, 15% of this, plus if you want to consider this. So maybe 40%-ish would be considered some version of just, the short vol premium collection type trade. And then the rest is more of the trend following variety, where we are just, buying long ETFs, tactical rotation, being in stocks when it's most advantageous, moving to bonds, moving to gold when we have to be in safety. Probably, 60-40, 70-30. Again, about the Discord, Esteban says, I think the point is a place where people from the VTS can join and interact, and maybe you could get some self-service and would reduce the load on you. Yeah, this live stream, I have to be honest, one of the reasons I'm doing it is a little bit selfish. It is somewhat hoping that I can reduce the email load. Not that I don't mind doing it. I put a smile on my face every morning, and I answer 5 hours of emails every day. And I give full answers, and even though I've answered it a million times before, there's no way you could ask me anything that I haven't answered before. I still do it, but I am hoping that this live stream can alleviate a little bit of that. Nick, you're doing great. Thank you so much for that. I am doing awful. You're too kind. I'm a pretty introverted person. And, well, I'm not, that's not true. I would call myself an omnivert. I If it's the right situation, if I'm out with friends, like when people meet me, they think I'm a normal human being, social and whatnot. But a vast majority of my life is by myself. Just me with my spreadsheets, making videos. I honestly, like, my girlfriend didn't come back with me to Vancouver this time because of the whole bug or the Rona. I've been alone here for 2 months. I've probably spoken to 5 people. And I'm totally fine with it. But if somebody invited me out, then, you know, I'm an omnivert, so I could go out and I could act like a normal person. But no, I'm terrible at this kind of thing. I've been dreading live for years. So thank you, Nick. You're far too kind. I'm going to watch the rebroadcast. I'm sure it's cringe. But thank you. Have you considered selling covered calls on an ETF, on the ETFs you hold? Super common question. The old covered call thing. The problem with covered calls, the basic philosophical problem that we, quant style people have with covered calls, if you're concerned about your risk reward ratio, you got to think about what you're essentially doing with a covered call. You're not really reducing any risk, but you're just sort of capping your gains. And since everything I do is trend following, or most of what I do is trend following, you wouldn't want to put yourself in a situation where you're capping your gains just so that you can collect a few extra pennies. I mean, remember, when we are in a trend, volatility is going to be fairly low. The vega on those options are going to be a little bit low, and you're not really going to get the full payout that you want. So the only times that I'm really selling against positions that I hold is if it's going to pay me. Like, for example, here we go. Somebody asked about this earlier. What are these positions, right? This is, again, I have to stress caveats, warnings. This is not my trading account. Don't mimic this volume in your account. Like I showed, this is over, 150,000 of just naked puts on the VXX. That is scaling to my portfolio, not this account. So again, full warnings, caveats, don't follow this. But this position here is basically a position that I am trading against my broad portfolio because I am very long right now. I'm long the market. Doesn't mean I'm bullish personally. It just means my strategies are long the market. We are in stocks and basically across the board in our strategies, and we are short vol. So no, I would not want to sell covered calls right now against all of these positions. But one thing I have done is I have sold $185,000 of notional value of short VXX puts. And these are very short dated contracts. So I can just rinse, repeat over and over again. And there's literally no danger here because my overall portfolio is extremely long the market and leveraged long. So if this position ever gets into any trouble, well, it means my broad portfolio has just made a bunch of money. So I don't care if these get assigned. That's basically what that is. So I would answer your question in the opposite. No, I don't sell covered calls, but I do sell cash secured puts. That is the way to improve your risk reward profile. Selling covered calls against long positions when your actual purpose is trend following, that's not a good idea. That's not reducing risk. That's just capping your gains. Your strategies are so good. Do you think you are going to be a billionaire? Nope, I am not going to be a billionaire. So this is another thing that is a very common misconception. When you see people posting their performance online, sometimes it can give you the impression that they should be much wealthier than they are, right? You look at the results. This is my portfolio, and this is live, right? All of these trades went out to the VTS community for 9 years straight. A lot of people look at this and they think, well, I mean, shouldn't you be a mega millionaire by now? I mean, this is good results. You've been making 20% a year for 9 years straight. Shouldn't you be, well, just run the numbers yourself, right? I mean, I used to be a professional golfer and not a very successful one. I mean, I was a good golfer. I almost made it on the PGA Tour, but I mean, my peak world ranking in golf was something like, 690 or something. So, I mean, I was good. I had a successful career, but no, I didn't succeed in my golf career. So I started my investment career with a totally normal amount of money, just like everybody does. And I work and I try to make profit. And I've done very well the last 9 years. I've made my 20% a year, and I hopefully plan to continue that, especially with the leverage strategies and the overlay of the vol trend. There are ways I can continue making 20%, but just run the numbers. I mean, if you start with a modest amount of capital and you make 20% a year, and let's say you add a little bit because I do have a job and I do make a good income, it still doesn't add up to the numbers that people have in their head. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to develop that kind of money. So no, I'm not, forget about billionaire. I'm not going to be go way down, drop 2 zeros off that. I'm not going to be that. No, money doesn't scale that way. So don't look at people's results online and their claims on Twitter about how they're rolling in wealth and actually take it seriously. It's not. Money doesn't scale that way. Just go into a compound interest calculator and you'll see time is the factor that matters the most. So that's how I would answer that one. One should temper the expectations because it could reverse at any time. Absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of this. I am always trying to dial back people's expectations because this is the real world. Now, unfortunately, in 2021, maybe starting from 2010 to now, the investment world is colliding with the social media world. And it's giving people these insane expectations of results. When I'm telling you, like, I'm not rude, I'm not insulting them. 99% of those claims are completely made up. Absolutely made up. Those people who are saying that they are millionaires trading, they work the same mundane jobs that the rest of us do. They're not what they say they are. But social media is giving people these insane expectations of, do you know how good a 10% rate of return is in the investment world? I mean, if you were an asset manager and you made 10% return, not every year, but averaged out, your compound annual growth rate, 10% a year for 30 years, you are easily in the top 5% of all asset managers in the world. That is substantial. That is really, really good returns. Well, I mean, spend 5 minutes on social media, you're going to feel like a complete loser if you make 10% return. So, I mean, that's the difference. None of that stuff is real. Not to toot my own horn too much, but what I've achieved in the last 9 years is, I mean, if it wasn't for social media, it would be pretty impressive. I mean, obviously in a sea of liars, I feel I appear to be an underachiever, but boy, I'll tell you, I am not even the slightest bit disappointed in my returns. So, absolutely, very good point. Always keep realistic expectations, and get to your realistic expectations, and then cut those in half again. That's what you want to do, because that's the reality of the world we live in. Inflation is, if you trust the official numbers, 1%. If you trust your gut and your eyes and your checkbook, it's probably close to 4 or 5%. But there's no free money in this world. It's hard to beat inflation. You actually have to have a little bit of knowledge to beat the inflation rate with your investments. So, take inflation and add 5% to that, you're killing it, right? Add 10% to that, you're doing well. So, yeah. Nugene or Nugene, sorry about that if it's mispronounced wrong. He says hedge funds only best 3 to 4% per year. Absolutely right. I mean, look at this. We've got hedge fund indexes. I might have to log into this, so apologies for that. Might take me a few seconds. But yeah, I mean, you can look at the hedge fund indices and you can see, I mean, these hedge fund managers, a lot of people, and this is one of the things that bothers me. I might go on a little bit of a rant here. Feel free to log off if you don't like hearing me rant. But a lot of people out there, they really like to hack on hedge fund managers and hack on financial advisors, and they like to talk about how these guys are losers and they don't make any money. They can only make 4% a year, and Asset managers, 85% of them underperform their benchmarks. It's very easy to laugh at these people, but I can assure you that they're not dummies. I mean, these are some of the smartest, most educated, sophisticated investors in the world. And they're having a difficult time when they have to show performance. They have a difficult time producing results at 10% a year. You have to be really good at your job to get 10% a year. And so a lot of people look at that and they think, oh, they're such losers. Well, no, they're not. It's just that everybody you're following on social media who says that they make 20 or 30% a year, those people are lying. These people, the hedge fund index, they actually have to report stuff, and they actually have a little bit on the line to report it accurately, right? So you look at these numbers, not good. 3-year annualized, 5.5. 5-year annualized, 10-year annualized, 4.18. Guys, these are some of the smartest people in the world making 4.18% return annualized. You think that person you follow on Twitter that's never published a word in the investment industry in their life, you think their claims are accurate, but these people who have dedicated their entire lives to investing, that these are the dummies? I mean, sorry about the rant, but I think there's far too little respect for how difficult it is to make a good rate of return. And social media is not making our job any easier to communicate this message. My job gets harder every single year. With every new person who shows up on Twitter making outlandish claims, my job just got harder. Now there's going to be another 1,000 people that I have to convince that that is not accurate, that the reality is doubling the inflation rate, that's good. You're doing well if you can do that. If you can make 10% a year, you're crushing it. Just have a good job, save your money, invest in your account. It'll grow. And again, with time being the most important element, you're gonna crush it. But if you start thinking that you're inadequate because you're making 25% a year, you're going to do stupid things, you're going to lose a lot of money, and you're going to lose 10 years of your investing timeline because you followed social media. That is not accurate. Those claims are not true. So, realistic expectations. I spend an enormous amount of time explaining this to people, and, the gut reaction for a lot of them is, don't listen to me, go back on social media, trust the confirmation bias, go out there and look for it. You'll find plenty of people who claim that they make far more than I do. Good luck. Do you set your stop losses? I don't use stop losses. I do in my options trading. So let's go back to my portfolio here. We've got the VTS options here, 20%. In my option trading, I'd say probably half the positions I take have stop losses. Like if I'm trading an iron condor, short iron condor, I will set stop losses. If I'm doing a long vertical spread or a short call spread on UVXY or something, typically I will use a stop loss. But there's a lot of positions in options that I don't. I just, butterflies, for example. You kind of have to let them develop over time. Calendars, maybe, I might not use them. But in all the other things that you're seeing right here, no stop losses. The defense of the portfolio is proper allocation sizing, and that each one of these can cycle out of the position at any time and move into a safety position. So that's my line of defense. Stop losses are fairly useless in the investment world. I should probably do a full video explaining that because that's kind of a bold statement. But if you think about stop losses, quite often they just end up stopping you out at a time when the markets are just about to recover. That can happen. Stop losses, as you know, the vast majority of the market movements are at night. So, what good is a stop loss if, you wake up in the morning, the market's already gapped down. Your stop loss isn't going to do anything. So, no, I'm fairly against stop losses. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel you can check out. Let me fire up YouTube here. Ages ago. When did I do this video? I hope I see it. I remember it's red. It's red. Does anybody see it? Is it popping up anywhere? Why I don't... It essentially says why I don't use stop losses with volatility trading, or stop losses with volatility trading. Sorry about that. I probably passed it 3 or 4 times here. Yeah, go to that video. It explains in detail why I don't use stop losses for short vol trading. And then you can just extend that and apply it to anything else. Yep, whipsaws, exactly. What I tend to do is I take positions based on a massive data analysis, and when I feel like I'm in the right position, that the markets are actually conducive to my position being obviously not predictable, but statistically probable, I just stay in it. And when that is no longer the case, that's when I move out of my position. I don't let what the market does dictate what I'm doing, right? I don't, just because it's down doesn't mean you're not in the right trade. If the market gaps down to a certain level, but all of the metrics I track say that I should still stay in that position, I'm not going to let the market kick me out of my trade. I'm going to take my trade based on what my metrics are telling me. So trend following, sometimes you just have to take a drawdown. You know, I try to manage them as best I can, but stop losses is it's adding an extra layer, an extra variable that is unpredictable and probably not helpful. That's a good tip right there. Sorry, I can't pronounce this. Juicy. Your video tabs has a search function. You can find something next time. Awesome. Because I have actually, I think I have about 140 videos. And what I just did scrolling through there, that certainly didn't look like 140 videos. I don't want to pull it up again. But yeah, thanks. That's a great tip. I will use that search function. Jordan says, I'm in crypto and I feel like it's nothing but volatility with how it moves. I'm glad I found this type of strategy. Well, thank you for that. That's what you signed up for. If you're in crypto, that's the game. That's what they're doing. I mean, crypto is just a daily dopamine hit. If you're a trader, that's what you're there for. So, if you're looking for stability, no, things that drop 20% on a Saturday and then recover 10% on a Sunday probably isn't for you. I mean, I went over it earlier in the stream why I don't really trade Bitcoin, but why I never have until now, but I might jump in for fun. But that's one of the things I said. It's just, I mean, how can you possibly even quantify anything that's going on? But enjoy. I hope you do well. I know there's it's overblown. Obviously, the number of crypto millionaires is way less than the media would have us believe. We can just go in and we can see the statistics on the average size of digital wallets out there. We know that 99% of them are not crypto millionaires, but hopefully you are. Hopefully you've done well. Is your strategy affected by the increasing commodity prices? No, not at all. I think we talked about this earlier in the stream. Commodities are sort of their own thing. I don't trade them because my specific data doesn't apply very well to commodities. I'm all volatility related. And of course, if you're talking about the VIX index, it's calculated directly based on the S&P 500 options activity. So what's happening in corn futures, very, very disconnected. I'm not saying it's unrelated, but it's certainly several derivatives away from what I do. And what's the old saying? Something about you can get what is it? It's from that movie Tommy Boy. Something about getting the butcher. You can just ask the butcher yourself. Getting the information directly from the horse's mouth, basically. I wish I remembered that. Tommy Boy. That aged me, right? Yeah, I'm not that young. I'm 45 years old. When you're talking about commodities, you're talking about several layers down. So I'm not saying it doesn't affect the market, but what I try to do is go to the absolute source, right? So in the future, if you tune into these live streams with me, you will probably at some point hear me rant about people who do technical analysis on the VIX or the VXX or UVXY. You'll probably hear me rant against that. And the fundamental reason is because that is a very indirect way to look at the market. Like the VIX is a derivative of the S&P 500 options market. The VXX is a derivative of the VIX futures market. These are unrelated. You can't draw lines on something. I mean, you can, but it's several layers down. So why not just go to the source? Why not just go straight to the horse's mouth? If you're going to be using commodities as input variables, you're getting very indirect signals. Not saying it can't work. Hopefully you found a way to make it work for you, but no, I try to go as hyper focused to what I'm trying to trade as possible. James Bradley, thank you for coming in here. It's always good to see friends, because I told you how nervous I was. I still am. I mean, butterflies, how long has this been going for? An hour and 46 minutes. I'm nervous. So James, thanks for showing up. Doing great at my first live stream. Oh, thank you. I guarantee it's not great, but you guys are you're making it easy. Like I said, I was going to pop on here and just check my sound, and I thought it would be an hour of technical difficulties. So this isn't that bad. Maybe we can do another one. Follow-up question just on that commodity stuff I was talking about. But can the commodity prices dampen the long equity positions? Can it dampen the long equity positions? I'm not sure what you're trying to get at there. I mean, are you meaning that if commodities, say, started sucking up some of the volume in the market, that it would take away from some of the action in the equities? I don't know. Sorry about that. That might be a normal thing, actually, for me to just not understand the question. So I got to be more conscious of that. Sorry about that. I basically punted on your question there. Another one, SPX is also comprised of different stocks, and sometimes a particular stock could move the market. Yeah, absolutely. I did an article about that recently, where you really do want to make sure that wait, let me just check. It is a screen share. Good. You really do want to make sure that the index that you're tracking, you want to make sure that you know what's in that index, right? Where's that article? I know it was very recent. Here we go. This sounds familiar. Different indexes have different holdings. So you can see this is the top 10 holdings of the S&P 500. Apple is a 6.45% holding. So of course, one stock, I mean, it could influence. If something happened, if Samsung comes out with something that's just brilliant, right? And Apple, for some reason, felt threatened and people thought it was bad and it tanked in price, you could envision a scenario where the S&P could take a serious hit, even though nothing in the overall market really happened. Whereas the MDY, this is the S&P 400 mid-cap ETF, you can see the average 10 holdings here. These are very small. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what happens at monolithic power systems. You're not really going to have a problem with the MDY. So, absolutely, that's a very good point, that you really want to make sure you know what's in the indexes that you're trading. NASDAQ, for example, massive allocations to the large tech companies. So, yeah. Brian says, destroy the like button. Absolutely. Don't break your computer, but smash it as hard as you can. That like button. I hate asking people in my videos, if you look at the comment sections, the one comment that I get sometimes, and I completely agree with you, is, why would I hit the like button before I watch your video? That doesn't make any sense. Stop asking people to hit the like button before I watch your video. Can I at least watch it first, make sure I like it, and then hit the like? I agree. 100%. It's the dumbest thing in the world. But unfortunately, we are all subject to the all-powerful YouTube algorithm. And there is nothing more beneficial for a YouTuber than likes or dislikes. To be honest, I actually saw a study recently. Likes and dislikes are the same. So I'm not going to be thrilled if you dislike my videos, but I think what the algorithm is showing is engagement. So a dislike is engagement. So give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Give me a thumbs down if you just want to test this theory about YouTube engagement. But yeah, it'll hurt my feelings. But Shastri family, thank you for the nice comment there. I will do my best. I will absolutely do my best. I actually don't have that many people to talk about investing with. Like I told you, I'm basically an omnivert. I'll be social if people invite me out for a beer or something, but for the vast majority of my life, I am alone. I'm an introvert. So I don't actually have that many people to talk about investing with. I am alone with my thoughts a lot, and that's why I end up talking to myself a lot. My girlfriend hears me in the other room. She's like, who are you talking to? But yeah, so doing these live streams would be great. I mean, if I could get over my nerves, then I'd love to have a place to just hang out once a week and just chat about investing. Yeah. Oh, the stream jumped a bit here. Sorry about that. I might have missed people's comments. Jumped a lot. Oh, Jeff McCarter. Thank you so much, Jeff, for hanging out. Speaking of, that was ironic. Yeah, Jeff there is one of the very few people that I can have, that we have emails back and forth, very deep conversations, and I really, really appreciate it. So let me take this, serendipitous opportunity to thank you for that. I can't tell you how helpful it is for my work when I have other people to bounce ideas off of. It's so helpful. And just the last year talking to you privately, it's really, really changed a lot of the ways that I look at things. So thank you for that, and thanks for dropping by. That's really nice. The algorithm doesn't count the likes until you have watched it for at least a little while. So if you're watching my video and you only stay for 20 seconds, give it a like, and then leave, you're saying that the YouTube algorithm doesn't credit me with that? That'll be disappointing, because, I mean, I don't mean to reveal too much of the behind the scenes, but in YouTube, you can see the back analytics, right? So I can actually see when people are watching the video. I can pinpoint the times where they're going to a different video. And I got to say, only half the people that watch, people only make it through half my video. So the average watch time of my videos is about 7 minutes, and the average person clicks off after 20 seconds. So I hope you're wrong on that, but I'm going to do some research because I want those likes. Again, YouTube makes us do it. I don't want to do it. You know my personality. You know I don't want to ask for things like that, but yeah, that like button's so important. Random question. Any opinion on what happened to GME today? Funny example of the markets we're in. Well, let's check it out. This is one of the things you'll notice about the live streams when you follow me, is there's going to be a lot of things in the market that I know nothing about, right? If you ask me about certain things, I might not have a clue what you're talking about, as I do not right now. So you're talking about GameStop? Yeah, there you go. Up 56.94%. That's something. I'm not a gamer. I've never played games. I don't know. I don't know anything about GameStop. And I don't know anything about individual stocks, or not, I wouldn't say anything, but not as much. It's not my expertise. I trade indexes. I trade volatility, obviously massive focus on volatility. But there will be times you'll ask me about a stock and I might not even know what it is. Like this one, I didn't even know what GameStop was. Up 55%. Yeah. I would imagine, without looking, it's probably some type of announcement. Like, was there a new game announced, or a new console announced, or something like that? Or perhaps a competitor in the chip space came out with some advanced chip that's going to, cycle down through all the other companies that use those chips, and maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Maybe somebody made a revolutionary breakthrough today on AI, and GameStop will benefit from that. I have no idea. Sorry. Where did I learn to speak Chinese? This is a tip that I can give you, but it may not apply to everybody. But it is a very good idea to date a girl who doesn't speak English. That is a very good first step. So my girlfriend, we started dating 11 years ago, but she's a yoga teacher. And I was in her yoga class, and of course I asked her out, and we went on our first date, and she doesn't speak English and I didn't speak Chinese. So it was rough, but that date lasted 4 hours. It was awesome. We stayed at the restaurant. We, crushed several bottles of wine. It was great. But because she doesn't speak English, or at least she understands a lot of English, but she never, ever speaks English. So yeah, I was just forced. That's it. I just had to do it. If I want a second date, just get out the books, just start studying. And it took me about a year to get to the point where we were conversational. And then over the next 10 years, we've been together a long time, you just kind of learn what you learn. So if you were to ask me how to explain my business in Chinese, I couldn't answer you. If you were to ask me, if we just have a conversation over coffee, yeah, I can communicate that way. But that would be, Chinese is so hard to learn. It's a very tone-specific language. If you're saying it wrong, if you don't learn properly the first 6 months of your study, you're dead. You could think you're fluent 10 years later, and you could say full sentences in your head, and the people listening have no idea what you're saying. The tone assigns the meaning to the word. So if you say it wrong, you're done. So that was what I would say. I would say I was forced to learn. Vanessa, we're 95% Chinese in our home. So it's another benefit to these live streams. I get to actually speak English. That's nice. GME had 60% of the float short. Yeah, that could do it. If anything just it sets that tinder on fire, it can go. I don't know anything about individual stocks. Interesting. Massive update. And this is not a small company, so it's bizarre to see it go up this much. It's not like it's some micro cap stock. This thing's pretty big. Markets are closing here in a minute. I'm going to have to deal with this issue there. Any more questions? How long have we been going? Thank you everybody so much for showing up. My first ever live stream. Unbelievably nervous. Can't even tell you how nervous. Yeah. Why did I delay it so long? It's one of those things that might be a lesson for some of you out there. If you've got an expertise that you want to share with the world, maybe you have a company that marketing is part of your company, and you're thinking about starting a YouTube channel, or you're thinking about starting live streams or a podcast, do it. Just start it. I can't believe I made that mistake and I waited so long. Yeah. This isn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I thought I was going to pass out. I was so nervous. Yeah, there's the day. I think it was a boring day. What happened? SPX. See, my focus is very, very specific in what I look at in the markets. I don't look at individual stocks. If you look at my watch list, 95% of my watch list is going to be stuff specific to my strategies, just VTS, just our tactical rotation strategies. That's all it is. So you ask me about other companies, you probably know more about it than I do. Michael Burry is in GME. Michael Burry, how good was that movie? It's one of my favorite movies. I could watch that thing. That and Margin Call. I could watch those things. I've probably seen them both 20 times. Michael Thompson, thank you. From Canada. Awesome. Yep. Good old Canada. We lost the hockey game a couple weeks ago, or last week, but still proud Canadians. Do you use your orders market on close automatically, or do you do them manually? So what I typically do with first of all, my accounts are all margin accounts, so it doesn't matter for me. If you're trading in a cash account, you're going to have to exit the first trade first, and then you're going to have to jump into the other one. So you're going to do it manually. So for me, if it's the standard total portfolio with the unleveraged versions, the liquidity is very, very good. So I can do market on close. So if I'm not going to be in front of my computer, absolutely, I very often do market on close. When I'm using certain things, like obviously option trading, never ever use market orders for anything, any reason at all. Don't use market orders. Use limit orders, try to get your best fill price. You don't have to nickel and dime it. You don't have to sit there for 3 hours, but you definitely want to make sure that you're getting a decent price. If you do market orders on options, you could, especially if it's a multi-leg option, you could be in trouble. So, yeah, what was I saying? So the leverage strategies, a few of those positions have bid-ask spreads, 2 to 3 pennies out, like UST, for example, when we are trading treasuries. I'll try to manual that as often as I can. I'll try to use limit orders. But again, I touched on it earlier in the stream about how nothing at VTS is small float, small cap, small stuff companies. This is all very big. So if you wanted to, on all your ETF trades, I don't think it would hurt that bad if you used market on close. What happened there? Sorry, again, here I am talking to myself. My software just showed me something strange, so I don't even know if I'm still live. And also, I'm not even sure if any of this is live. I mean, I'm seeing your comments, of course. I don't know how much of a delay there is. Like, it's possible you asked me that question 5 minutes ago. I don't know. Anybody have any ideas for cheaper margin interest rates than Interactive Brokers for 2 times SVXY? I don't get into that too much because I don't know anything about brokers. My long-term portfolio is with Interactive Brokers, and I get, I like it. I feel like their commissions are good, really good. And I feel like their margins are fair, the way they calculate their margins. Remember that depending on what broker you're using, there can be multiple ways to calculate it. Like if you're doing a short, a naked put option or something like that, there's several different ways that they can calculate that margin. I feel like Interactive Brokers is pretty good. If you're looking for better than that, I mean, the problem is it's SVXY. It's not the broker, it's the ETF. The ETF SVXY does require full margin. I mean, it just does. So that's oftentimes why I use VXX. If you look at this testing account we got going here, why do I use my vol trend strategy on VXX? Well, simply VXX has much better margins, right? I could use UVXY, just different leverage factor. It's just 1 to 1.5, but UVXY requires the full margin. So VXX is far more efficient than UVXY. Whenever you're seeing people trading single leg options on UVXY, like if they're selling a call or something, VXX is far more efficient. I don't know why anybody sells naked positions on UVXY or buying the stock. I mean, VXX requires half margin and Interactive Brokers is probably the same. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't think you can get better margin than what you're getting. I think SVXY is a 1 times margin factor, and you're not going to be able to beat that. So the reason when you're trading 2 times SVXY that you can still do that is if you're in a margin account. I can go show you this real quick. If you look at this MVV, this is a $30,000 position, but the breakpoint effect is only $12,000. And our QLD is the same. It's only 12,000. My SSO is only 12,000. So if this is in a margin account, and let's say I didn't substitute, remember in this account I'm using the tactical volatility just because I think it's more interesting and people want to actually see it. In the test account, I want to go ahead and do that with the long put options on VXX. But if I did SVXY, I could double up that position easily because I'm not utilizing the rest of my margin. So even though it is punishing, SVXY, it's still fine if you're in a margin account. If you're in a cash account, can't do it. You have to do 1 times SVXY, and you just, hopefully at some point we're going to get a -1 times ETF replacement for the old XIV that we all loved so much. Until then, margin account, you can double it up and you can go 2 times, or Non-margin account, you're going to have to go one time. Karsten checking in from Denmark. Awesome. High on my list, Scandinavian countries. Super high on my list. I got to get there at some point. And quite a few members, you know, Denmark, Norway, Sweden. We got quite a substantial amount of people from there. And you have local currency. Same, yep, this is a very common question. Gains of ETS could be canceled out. So my only answer is, I'm not a registered advisor. I know nothing about Denmark. I don't know anything about your regulations. So obviously consult a professional, check with a lawyer, check with an actual asset manager. But what I personally do is just don't worry about exchange. Don't worry about currency. I don't want to add another layer to my trading. I don't want to have to also be trying to time currency fluctuations. So what I actually do is just all my money's in US dollars. I'm Canadian, but all my money's in international broker accounts. Interactive Brokers, it's an international account, but it's all denominated in US dollars, and I just trade. So, I mean, Denmark's kind of a smaller country. Canada suffers the same thing, where if you're trying to use the currency hedged ETF replacements, sometimes you can run into volume issues with those. They're not that highly traded, so the money that you're trying to avoid with doing repeated currency exchanges, you might get that swallowed up by the slippage cost, in that the ETFs are less liquid. So again, like I recommended to the other person who asked the same question, track everything. Make sure that you make a spreadsheet and you look at the price of the ETF when you were trading it, the live quote, and then check your fill prices. Go back over a few months and see how much slippage there is. And then you're going to just have to weigh it against the, you know, the inconvenience of having all your money in USD or all your money in whatever you do and then change it over. I was going to try to sound smart and say what the Denmark currency is called, but I can't think of it. Sorry. That would have been smooth, but no, I don't know what your currency is called. Do you have a performance chart? Do you have a performance chart of the portfolio on how it did on monthly basis since inception? Yeah, I talked about this before. I've shown the results on my website, every day for 9 years. So if you're ever interested in my performance, if you're ever interested in seeing what the VTS strategies have done, everything is on the website. Now, give me a second. I will get back to the massive disclaimer involved in that. But the one thing you also have to understand is you might want to email me and ask me what the official launch date for the strategies were, because what I've tried to do in any case that I can is show as much history as I can. So let's go to the tactical balance strategy, for example. So this strategy, I've been posting the results for 9 years, every single day, all the trades that go out to the VTS community. This is live. Problem is, this says it goes back to 2006, and that is not true. I launched my business in January 2012, and this strategy was in the portfolio from day one. So if you see any of the performance, like back here, 2006, 7, 8, this is not live. So my live performance started right about there, right here. Hopefully you can see my mouse on the live streams. Started here, and the rest is the signals that went out. Different strategies are different. Like tactical volatility, 9 years. Tactical balance, 9 years. VB threshold, 6 years. Defensive rotation, very new, right? Good example, very new strategy. We launched this the end of 2019. So definitely email me if you want to know the details of when they all launched officially. But everything you see in the total portfolio solution, this is all live. None of this has ever changed. If I introduce a new strategy, nothing gets changed retroactively going backwards. This is exactly what the VTS community participated in. So go ahead and email me and ask for further details on that. What I said about the disclaimer is the one, obvious elephant in the room. How do you know I'm lying? Well, you don't. That's just the fact of it. I'm not going to send you a KPMG audit or anything like that. So obviously, if you trust me, that performance is what you're looking for. So you can always go onto the website and you can get those numbers, statistics as well, drawdowns, all of that stuff. Ulcer performance index, super important statistics. And that's it. Yeah, that's all I can tell you. So check the results, check the website. We've got a massive community of people who I am an honest person. I'm a professional golfer, so it's a gentleman's game, and we always call ourselves on penalties and whatnot. So I am honest, but even if I wasn't, we've got, there's 1,000 people that will keep me honest about reporting those results. So check the website. Everything you need to know about the strategies is on there. And I don't mean that dismissively, like, hey, go check the website. I mean, go check the website. And if you have questions, volatilitytradingstrategies@hotmail.com. Email me some follow-ups. I will definitely answer anything you want to know. Okay, so, there it is. Danish Krones. I knew it. Yeah, but now I look stupid because I didn't know it, right? Could be down, VTS is up. Yeah, absolutely. It's a risk that we all take. Currency, if you're in the game of trying to, if you have a good bead on where things like that are going, then I guess I would say good luck. But for me, trading is already complicated enough. The last thing I want to do is add another layer of adjustments for currency exchange differences in what I do, trying to time the fact that, well, the Canadian dollar is doing this and I think it's going to do that. So it's just adding another level that I don't need. Can't tell you not to, but that's when you would want to consult a financial professional for sure. Tom says he uses Investor Line and the cost for NG is about 0.1% to account for the bid ask. Yeah. Of course, you can always shop around, and these are brokers that obviously they want your business. So any questions that you ask them, they're going to obviously give you the right answer. They want your business. So you can email them. They'll tell you their breakdown of commissions. They probably have some prepared sheet where they're going to try to show you that their commissions are lower than anywhere else. They'll do all of that. And another thing that you want to be aware of, there is no harm in asking for reduced rates, right? This is something that a lot of people don't understand about their brokers, but of course they're in the business to make money. So if you want, reduced commissions, you can always ask them. I mean, worst case scenario, they say no, but I know lots of people, myself included, I have reduced commission rates. Now it doesn't matter so much. It went back to the normal rates. But at Interactive Brokers, probably from about 2012 to 2018, I had reduced rates at TOS as well. You can do that. They'll probably say no, but you can ask. And I don't think they can adjust their margin requirements. I think that's a legal problem. But yeah, if you're having commission issues, email your broker, ask them, get them on the live chat, and see if you can straighten that out. And always try to slip that in. Say, look, I trade quite a bit. I like your broker. I want to stay. Can you give me a little bit of a break on those commissions? And maybe they say yes. Something we need to be aware of, 30% CAGR. I assume you mean, are you able to trust that compound annual growth rate? So what that portfolio is, I'll just confirm that that's what you're... Yep, Esteban, thank you so much. Tons of good questions today, and apologies, live streaming is not my thing, but I will get better. But thank you so much for coming. Question was, do you need to be aware of the 30% CAGR? I assume what you're saying is that sounds high, and it is high. That number is not coming from emails that went out to subscribers entirely. That is only coming from the last, say, 6 months. The leveraged portfolio is essentially what would have been sent out based on the normal portfolio. So this is the unleveraged total portfolio. This is live, all the trades that went out. The leveraged total portfolio is just scaled off of this. So if you want to get the actual live trades that went out to real, paying subscribers, you're looking for the purple. I've color-coded all my stuff. Purple total portfolio solution. Everything you see here is totally live trading. The reason that this strategy made 20% and the leverage total portfolio says 30% is because there is certain positions in the unleveraged strategies that we are taking the additional leverage of the ETF. So sorry, I keep confirming that you're on screen share here, but this is my interactive brokers, right? This MMV is a leveraged MDY position. So the performance of that portfolio is based on replacing MDY with MVV. That's what it would have looked like. So I can say that, yeah, the leveraged total portfolio, it's basically live, but it's not literally live. Only the purple total portfolio solution and all of the other strategies related to it is live. This is live, right? So these strategies, since their inception date, I show nothing but live trading. All right, it's the only way to do it. People will go to great lengths in this industry to not show you what you want to see, but I just show it all. I have nothing to hide. Charts, statistics, everything. It's unbelievable how often these days you will ask somebody for something and they'll give you just a list of trades. They'll just say, here's the trades. And what you're supposed to just imagine what it looks like on a chart. Like there's so many things that people do that just, it's frustrating. So just go onto the website every single month, check the performance. It's all there. Good question. How often do you suggest we need to monitor the positions? Near zero. And the reason I say that is because once you're in the position, your day's done, right? We never trade positions intraday. Once we're in it, it's once per day. And then the next day, if necessary, we will cycle out of it and move into some safety or whatever it is. So no, you don't have to monitor. Now with options, I should clarify, with option trading, I monitor everything. So technically you don't have to, because we'll never open or close a trade intraday after I've sent the daily email. So you don't actually have to monitor anything. But if you want to, monitoring ETF positions, that's boring. I don't know why you'd want to do that. But monitoring option positions, sure. You can just watch them. You can see them go. So this is my vol trend trade that I have on. I peek at it from time to time. Now I know what I'm doing. I'm waiting for Friday, and I'm waiting to collect my $2,600. But you can monitor if you want. I have no plans for stop losses or anything like that with that trade, so there's really nothing to monitor. It's just, it is what it is. But you can ask me questions about the positions. I can explain what I'm planning to do with the positions, what would make me exit out of it, all those things. If you subscribe and you need help with the positions, especially options, are you available? Yeah, I spend an enormous amount of time answering emails. Yep. Ask me anything you want. If you don't understand how to actually execute the trade, I can only help you with that if we have the same broker. So if it's an actual execution problem and you trade with Fidelity, for example, or Schwab, I've never even seen their platforms. So of course I can't help you with that. But if it's a structural, like what is an iron condor? When does it do well? Why did we say it? Why did we open it today? Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And then of course with the live streams, remember in this test account, I will be executing all the option trades in here. So I will be able to field direct questions. You'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. Remember, this is just simulating the leverage total portfolio. So yeah, you're going to see that, and you're going to get, hopefully, if I'm doing my job correctly, you're going to get all the help you need. Executions, TD Ameritrade, perfect. Like I said, I'm an Interactive Brokers guy, but now that we have the live stream account here, we've got a good test account, I can totally help you with any of the executions you want. In the performance, I noticed there is a worst month and there is a maximum. Can you explain what the difference between the two? Yeah, worst month is just what it sounds like. The worst single month of that strategy since inception. And remember, if you want to know what the actual live inception dates are, you can email me and I'll tell you. But it's showing the worst single month loss. The maximum monthly drawdown is, let's say you had 3 losing months in a row. Of course, your drawdown is going to be adding up. It's a cumulative drawdown. So what the maximum monthly drawdown is the absolute lowest drawdown that strategy has ever had. And it's on a monthly basis. So on a day-to-day, sometimes they're a little bit more. And I get this follow-up question, and I can show you the private statistics if you email me. But the daily drawdown and the monthly drawdown, it's fairly insignificant, the difference between those. Our strategies are hyper-focused on security and safety and rotating out of risky positions. So our drawdowns are small across the board. But yeah, you can always ask me what the daily drawdown is if you want to know that. They're very close to the monthly. Yeah, great job on the live stream test. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing up. I'm really humbled by this. I thought there'd be 2 people. It would end in 10 minutes, and that would be that. But this has been fun. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes. You guys have stuff to do, I'm sure, right? Like I said, I'm going running later. Look at that weather outside. Let's go to the big screen. I'm going to reach across my computer here. See if that's any better, just so you can see outside. I've got an ND filter on the camera, so I can just turn it like that. Beautiful out there. That's where I'm going in a few minutes. Can't wait. When are you planning to execute the option positions next? Well, the way that I trade options is entirely discretionary. So, okay, I said that wrong. The strategies themselves are systematic, but the entries and exits, not so much the exits, the entries are discretionary. So if I see something that I like, then that's when I'm going to actually jump into the trade. And lately, a lot of people are asking why the volume on the VTS or the VIX options is so low lately. We've only been taking 3 or 4 trades a month. It is essentially because the volatility levels we are seeing in the market right now are what we would call in limbo, right? They're not necessarily high, so we're not in our risk off positions, but they're not low either. I mean, if you look at our trading dials for our strategies, let me open that up. Again, I have to make sure I always remember to do this screen share first. If you look, I'm going to open up today's daily email and show you what I mean about the levels of volatility right now. This is it, the 13th. This was the email from this morning. Hopefully everybody can see this in the background there. So we've got a volatility barometer of 55.59. That's a bad range, to be honest. I don't like trading. It's not that I don't like trading. It's just, it's a real choppy range. That 55 is not desirable. So what ends up happening when you're in this range is you can see the dials for the strategies are pretty close to getting into the safety, but not quite. So you can easily be bounced around. It can go above, and then the next day it goes down. It can go back below. Very, very frustrating. And they're all kind of in that limbo range, right? So you can imagine with VIX options, it's kind of the same thing. I don't necessarily like to trade options when volatility is mid-range. Love trading options when it's low. Lots of trades to do when it's low. And like it even more when it's high. Right? When volatility is legitimately high, there's an infinite number of trades to put on. I mean, it's a kid in a candy store. But right now, with that mid-band where we're at, I just personally, for my style, I'm not seeing a whole lot that I find attractive. So right now, we've got a VXX trade on, a short put, and we'll just cycle those week after week. And we've got an Iron Condor on that I think it's slightly profitable, but I might layer another one of those on. And then there's always a UVXY put spread that's just hanging out there when I get the right sort of entry. Basically waiting for the UVXY to have a single day where it actually moves, and then I will react to that. But yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot. It's just been a lower activity level for my options trading. I'm a super patient trader. I don't force anything. I mean, I'm in this for the 20-year track record, and just to be able to grow my capital and just sleep and live my life and not worry. I want my good rate of return. And if that means that I have to sit on my hands and trade less, then that's what I do. And if it means I have to play this whole bounce around whipsaw action in some of the other ETF rotation strategies, then I just do that. I just move in and out, and I just do what the system says. So picture in picture, all good. Nick says, this is a long stream. Yes, it is. I had no idea we'd be going this long. It's 2.5 hours. So I don't know. What do people do? I don't watch live streams very often. The only live stream that I really watch is I watch a UFC live stream. It's called Morning Combat. I watch the Morning Combat live stream, and I think they typically go for about 2 to 3 hours. But yeah, I don't watch it. It's just in the background when I'm doing my spreadsheets. But what do we say? Like, do we cut it off? I don't want to be rude. Everybody's been so nice to show up and ask questions and hit the like button. I don't want to just kick you out and go running. I don't know. We'll see. I'll give it a few more minutes. If there's more questions coming in, I'll take some more questions. Is your account proprietary, personal funds only? Or do you also trade client money? Because the mindset and risk tolerance between the two are enormous. I agree with that second part, that it could be a big difference. The advantage that I have is that everything I say, I trade. Like I'm not doing anything with the VTS community that I'm not doing myself. So it's very easy for me to just do the exact same thing for you guys. Like that's all VTS is. I'm not some online guru and, trying to, market things and trying to do YouTube ads. Just sharing what I do. You want to participate? Great. You want to, pay me money to see the signals? Awesome. If you don't, there's so much free content. You probably won't be able to keep up with me. I'm a workaholic. So, I agree with that second part though. The mindset could be a little bit different. To answer it, no, I don't manage any funds. I have to be careful how I say this. I do also have I have my own consulting firm. It's called Prosperitas. Had it for years. And I do advise hedge funds, private offices, RIAs. So there's a lot of client money going through my strategies, but only indirectly. I just consult and license what I do. So I'm not actually the one managing the client money. Like I'm not the custodian. I'm not a registered advisor. I can't act as a custodian for anybody's money. It is just me trading my own capital, my Interactive Brokers account, and I email trade signals every single day to people who follow the community. And then I do blog articles, videos, all that stuff. So I don't know. Is the mindset different? I've never acted as a custodian for other people's money. I am, certified. I could do that. I could register tomorrow, and I have all my portfolio certifications. I love what I do, and I should probably make a video at some point. I've been talking about a little bit. Why subscription model? Like why a subscription? I get so many people like, if you're so good, why don't you manage a hedge fund? I guess I should probably at some point make that video. There's many reasons why I don't act as a custodian for people's capital. But if you wanted me to give you one just super basic, simple reason, it's because my ideal life would be me living in a different country every 3 months for the rest of my life. So how am I going to do that as a registered advisor in Vancouver? Can you talk more about tactical vol during the COVID crash? You made a difficult decision to ignore your own signals. Have you reflected on this, and what have you learned? I have done a lot of reflecting on this, and the only thing that any of us as traders can do is I would say learn from our mistakes, but I don't consider what I did during the COVID crash to be necessarily a mistake. So just backstory, obviously this person knows details about my community, but back in February, on the 24th of February, I sent out an email saying that the world is basically not looking good, and I was very concerned, whatever it was. I was very concerned. Not for my performance, not for the strategies. My strategies are all designed to manage any market environment. I've traded through the financial crisis. I've traded through the flash crash. I've traded through the European debt crisis. I'm not at all, portfolio worried. I was worried for people. And so on the 28th of February, I moved our entire portfolio to cash. That's why if you go on the website and you look at the results for any of those strategies, like, tactical balance, for example, you're going to see 0 in March, right? Why does it say 0? I mean, obviously it did something, right? So why does it say 0? Well, essentially it says 0 because I moved the portfolio to cash. Let me just go full screen here, give you something to look at instead of me scrambling and figuring out this live stream stuff. I moved to cash for the portfolio, and that remained from February 28th until April 13th. That's when we were in cash across the board. VIX options continued trading, that 20% portion of the portfolio, but the 80% of VTS, we stopped trading for 6 weeks. And my rationale was, A, the correlations were breaking down across the board, across the world. So I'm not concerned about that. My strategies are all designed to handle it perfectly well, but it was something. It's an issue. But the main reason was simply because, at that time, people were worried about not only their jobs, but their families and their livelihoods, and in some cases, their very lives. And so I thought, what's the harm, right? Why not just move to cash? Give people a month break to not worry about investing. Let's just worry about taking care of our families and worrying about our, staying safe and all that stuff. So we moved out. We lost nothing. We handled it great, right? No major complaints. The problem is what I think this person is getting at, and I can only see it says Last Maverick, so apologies, I don't know your name, but my guess is you were one of the people that asked me what the strategies would have done had we remained in them. That's an assumption of mine. I don't know if that's true, but I'm assuming that's why you're asking this question. Well, they would have crushed it. I think if you're one of the people that is asking this question, you know what the answer is. The tactical volatility strategy would have absolutely crushed it. The aggressive vol would have made a lot. So while there's never anything wrong with not losing money during a global pandemic where the stock market crashed 34% in a matter of a week and a half, there's nothing wrong with not losing any money and not suffering any drawdowns. It was fantastic. And we could never look back and say, oh, that's awful, right? On the other hand, would have been nice to catch that volatility. That's what the strategies are designed for. And the next time it happens, of course, I'm not going to move to cash. It just is what it is. I did it one time in the last 9 years. I won't do it again. But reflecting on it, I don't consider it a mistake, but I definitely agree with you that it was one of those moments where as a trader, I broke my own rules. And typically, sometimes it works out. Like in that case, it's not a huge detriment to just go flat through the COVID stuff. It's not terrible. I'm not regretful or anything. It would have been just a little blip, but it, again, broke my own rules, and you shouldn't do that. I'm a systematic trader, and I shouldn't do that. So I have committed myself mentally going forward I talk about trust and trusting the signals and trusting everything, and the system's designed to handle it, and we're going to move to safety. That was one time in 9 years where I broke my rule. So not going to do it again. The strategies will do very, very well if the markets crash like that again. I will not say I'm looking forward to it because that's people's lives. I mean, it's devastating to see, people who have strategies that can go long vol and can actually capitalize on some of those gains like mine can. Sometimes we have that knee-jerk reaction to say, I hope the world just crashes. I'm going to make so much money. But I totally don't hope the world crashes, because that is devastating to people's lives. So yes, if we get another crash like that, I have no doubt my strategies will perform very well. But I will feel very bad that the world is collapsing in front of us and real people are getting hurt. So I'm not going to say I'm looking forward to a market crash. But if it does happen again, no, I'm not going to move to cash again. I'm not going to break my own rules. I'd like to be able to say I'm a 100% systematic trader, but apparently I did have a moment of weakness. And once in 9 years, I did move to cash. So that won't happen again. I listened to Peak Prosperity from January and went to cash in January because of the info. Yeah, good. That's like, there's never anything wrong with avoiding a crash. Rule number 1, don't lose money. And it is a Warren Buffett quote, but I'm not saying it because he said it. Rule number 1, don't lose money. So if you don't have a drawdown in the COVID stuff, you did awesome. Secondary goal would be to actually take advantage of it. And that's the part that that would have been nice. You weren't tempted to move all cash to UVXY calls during the crash, Radaris. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. No, not at all. What you're essentially asking me is, can I predict the markets? So COVID crashes, S&P is down, the world's burning. It does appear like going long UVXY is the right play. But the thing that you have to always remember is that's only what's happened. That's not what's going to happen. So anytime you say, look, the price action is telling me that it's going down, I'm going to load the boat on long UVXY. Well, how do you know that the next day is not going to be the day that it bounces? You're going to lose. It's UVXY. It moves with a beta factor to the S&P 500 of over 5. Over 5 times. You are short the market at a leverage factor over 500%. I hope you can, recognize how tiny your portfolio allocation would have to be safe in that situation. Because as we saw, let me go screen share. I'm getting a little better at this stuff. A little better. If we go screen share and we actually go back to that, let's go SPX for a year. This is an absolute V bottom. So, when along this crash are you planning to buy your UVXY calls? Like if it's here, high fives all around. If it's here, you're still good, but you're going to get whipsawed. If it's down here, you could be in a lot of trouble. So no, like predicting markets and, doing things like that, I don't do that. If the signals tell me to get in it, then I get in it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, at the time, like I said, it would have told me to buy those calls. Not calls, but go long VXX. And I ignored the rule. But I'm only doing that based on my signals. It's really, really dangerous to be a discretionary trader in this type of market. I don't envy anybody who has to make discretionary decisions on trading these days, because there's so much going wrong with these markets, and there's just traditional correlations breaking down, and so much fiscal and monetary policy just intrusions into what should normally be a functioning market. I don't like to make discretionary decisions anymore. Never did. I've been doing this, tactical for 10 years, but I don't envy people who have to make that call. Because then, the market bounces, then what? Market bounces here, goes straight up. At what point do you take your loss? Do you think it's going to be a double dip? You hang on too long? What do? You need signals to tell you those things, because we as people, we are too emotional and we won't know what to do. So no, I didn't do that. But like you said, you'd want to scale it to risk size and all that stuff. Phone lines were jammed in March at TD Ameritrade. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That was a scary, scary time. I mean, it was really, 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 it still is, right? I mean, how many of you honestly don't believe that that exact same thing could happen again? I don't know. I think we're going to be scarred. I was trading back in the financial crisis and the flash crash, and I can tell you it was years before we lost that sort of shell shock attitude, that PTSD feeling of the markets crashing on us. I think COVID, oops, now my video is going to be demonetized. Now, because of COVID, we're right in it again. We've been, we've got PTSD. We're going to see fear everywhere. And now it's our job to be tactical and trusting the strategies now more than ever, because if we allow our emotions to creep in, look at the world. We're going to make bad decisions if we allow our emotions to dictate what we do. So I, for one, I can't tell you what to do, but I, for one, will be, I'm always tactical. Like I said, 99% minus COVID, I'm systematic. But now I'm 100%. I'm all in. There's no way I'm going to deviate now. I'm an emotional person just like everybody. I've been doing this a long time, but I make mistakes too if I let my emotions get the better of me. So no, we're in a serious time where it's going to be very hard for certain investors to enter the market simply because of what happened. So it's too bad. It's really too bad when the world breaks like that. It's not good. For what it's worth, discretionary traders vastly outperformed systematic algo in 2020. I don't think you could quantify that. I'm not trying to be argumentative here, but I'm not sure that you could quantify that. Do you know the rate of return of discretionary traders in 2020? Because I don't. I don't know where to even get that data. Well, there is no data. How would we possibly know? So if you mean you, which is likely what you mean, or maybe you and your circle of friends, that's awesome. If you're a discretionary trader, 2020 was a potentially very good year for you, because whenever you see massive swings like that, like let's say everybody's going to have a different emotional reaction to something like COVID, right? There were people before it happened that are already predisposed to be fearing market crashes. If you're one of those people and you're a discretionary trader, you might have been perfectly allocated to take full advantage of that crash. And there's other people who are just predisposed to always thinking, well, you just buy the dip. You just buy the dip. The market's always recovered. Let's just, it's bad. Yep, it's down 34%, but we're just going to buy the dip. If you're that type of person, you crushed it in 2020, right? Just murdered the markets in 2020. And that's when, like you're saying, discretionary trading can win out. I can't confirm what the performance of discretionary trading was because that's an unknowable. But I'd say in the long run, you're going to be better off systematic. But systematic might actually keep you out of some opportunities. Like if I was trading through COVID and I didn't stop and I didn't halt my strategies, it would have taken me a few weeks after that V bottom bounce to get back into the market, because I have to wait for volatility to sort of go down a little bit before I get the green light to re-enter. Whereas a discretionary trader who's just buy the dip everything, they might have beaten me to the punch and they might have got in earlier. That's always possible. I don't think it's an either or, like this is definitely better than that. Like you said, there's going to be years where one does substantially better than the other. But I think long term, I think you should probably do your best to remove as many variables and as many emotions from the process as you possibly can. How long do you intend to run VTS? My life. Again, it's just my portfolio. As long as I have the bandwidth in my life to share what I do with people, I'll continue doing it. I have absolutely no plans to stop. What else are we looking at here? Excellent stream setup. Love your videos. Great. Oh, wow, that's so nice. I love hearing the kind comments, and I really, really do appreciate them. I got to be honest, I'm having a hard time believing the sincerity, to be honest. I have to rewatch this. I'm not good at this stuff. I'm at my best when I'm by myself, alone with my thoughts in front of a spreadsheet. That's when I do my best work. So this live stream stuff it's going to be a massive personality change required. Pro golf seems fun. Did you enjoy it? No, I did not enjoy it. I love golf. I loved amateur golf. I had a very successful amateur career. Very, very fortunate, but I worked my ass off, let's be honest. But yeah, I absolutely love the game of golf. I love everything about it. I love the challenge that it provides, the difficulty, the solitude. It draws me in, but also the social aspect of playing with other people. I mean, where else can you lock somebody down for 4 hours and have good conversations, right? When was the last time you had a 4-hour conversation with somebody while you were doing something interesting? Golf's amazing. I don't know why everybody in the world doesn't golf, but the problem with my golf career, and the reason why it failed as a professional and I was so successful as an amateur, is when I was playing for myself as an amateur, I was what's called a mastery-oriented person, where I am just golfing for myself, mastering my skills. That's all I'm doing. The second I turned pro, I had a lot of sponsors. They're giving me, $60,000 a year to pay all my expenses, and buy me a car and buy all my clothes and everything. It got to me. It really did get to me. And I shifted from a mastery focus, which was just for me, to what's called an ego-driven focus, which is external things, like worrying about what people are going to think of me, worrying about what sponsors are going to think of me, worrying about, now there's 10,000 people watching instead of 100 people watching, ego-driven things. And yeah, it wore me down and I failed. I played pro golf for 5 years and I did it for the wrong reasons and I had the wrong focus and I failed. So pro golf was not fun for me, but golf itself is amazing. I love it. I'd recommend everyone in the world take up golf. And that, mastery versus ego, it applies to trading as well. One of the very best lessons that pro golf taught me with my investing is always be mastery oriented. That's why you don't ever see me doing hard sell stuff. You don't ever see me doing, markety type things, gimmicky things. I am just trying to master my own craft for me. And I know that if I do that, then not only will my portfolio benefit, but things like money, things like recognition, things like social media presence, those happen as a result of mastering a craft. And I won't make that mistake again. I won't ever in my business do things like I did in golf, where I just played pro golf as a totally different person. It just wasn't me. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for the right reasons. And no, I didn't enjoy it. I'm a super ultra competitive person too. And when I see myself fail, it's hard. I mean, it was hard personally when you're underachieving. It was tough. So, first couple of years were fun. The travel was amazing. I love the travel, but yeah. Will there be, what is that? Will there be a recording of the stream? I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I jumped on this thing, just sort of inviting people to come by. I was basically going to be doing a technical setup. Just make sure the sound works, make sure the comments work. When I click finish, end broadcast, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to find out. I hope that it has actually recorded something, although I'm not going to upload. We've been doing this for 3 hours. I'm not going to upload a 3-hour stream, am I? Or is anybody interested in what I'm talking about today? I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I mean, so if it records a sort of a local file somewhere on my computer or maybe on YouTube, what I could potentially do is try to mine through, 3 hours of babbling from me. There's probably 5 or 10 minutes in there that might be interesting for someone. So maybe I will edit certain pieces out and try to make it into a video, or I will take notes and I will actually remake certain parts that somebody asked me a really interesting question and I whiffed on it in my live answer, but I want to try again in another. I might do that. But can it edit down? Please upload. I'll see what it looks like on the back end. I have no idea. Can't imagine people are going to... Although you guys are here. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people want to listen to me ramble. I think one of the reasons... I talk about this a lot with my girlfriend. One of the reasons that I ramble so much is because I spend so much time alone. So there's a lot of things kicking around in my head. And sometimes I do it to her as well. You know, we'll go the whole day. I won't say anything to anybody. I'm just on my spreadsheet doing my work. And then when she opens her mouth at dinner and starts talking to me, I just, like, you know, my whole day of thoughts just comes out. So that might be what these streams end up being. It might be a 3-hour stream where there's really only 45 minutes of anything terribly meaningful. But we'll see. We'll see. This is a complete experiment, totally out of character for me. See where it goes. I actually prepared a slide. Let me see if it works. 5-minute break. I prepared this one where I have a little counter where I can go make myself a coffee. But I think I still got a little bit. Yeah. I seriously thought this was going to be 10 minutes. So this is a surprise. And yeah, 82 people watching. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Behind the stage reflections. Yeah. Well, that's important. I mean, how can you grow if you can't be introspective and can't acknowledge mistakes and can't make plans to do better in the future? So, I mean, I've been through a lot in my life, and I'm not trash talking myself when I say my golf career failed. It did fail, but that doesn't mean I didn't learn an infinite number of lessons along the way. I mean, it's just the most valuable thing I've ever done in my life. And it set me up for an investment career that I'm so much better equipped to handle everything now as opposed to what would have happened. And maybe if I succeeded, I wouldn't have learned those lessons and I would have failed anyway. Because the truth is, most people who embark on a professional sport of any kind, and bear with me, I'm being very liberal with the word sport because I know golf is not a sport. But if you embark on any professional sport, the odds of failure is so very high. I mean, 99.999% of people who try will end up, failing. They can't make enough to feed their family, so they end up quitting. If I was more successful, which I was certainly as an amateur, I was certainly on a path to being very successful. I was, for a good 3-year period, I was the top ranked player in Canada. So I was on my way. But if I would have succeeded at a slightly higher level, maybe I wouldn't have learned any of those lessons. And then I would have quit golf and just been a golf teacher or something. I don't know what I would have done, but I learned so much from the experience that I can now be introspective. I can learn from my mistakes and I can apply it to a new career. And I've been doing this for 15 years now, investing. Golf ended in 2005. That's another lifetime ago. But I mean, the lessons I learned, I still carry with me. Off to 3 months. Jimmer G says, just finished packing, off to 3 months, French Polynesia. Wow. Fingers crossed. There's strong Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's one of my concerns too as a traveler, is the Wi-Fi. Tanzania in the summer, travel, trading, life. Yep, me and you both. We're same mindset right there. There's so many places in the world that they're just amazing. And for my style, and it sounds like this Jimmer G, thanks for the comment, 3 months, right? That's my style, 3 months. I am not a tourist. I like to go somewhere, rent an Airbnb, and live there for 3 months and actually experience the culture and experience everything about it and maybe learn a little bit of the language and set myself up so if I love it, I can come back 2 years later and do it again. That's what I like. So I like your style. 3 months. That's great. Yeah, I have plans to travel a lot this year as well. That Wi-Fi concern, though, it's real. I mean, I run a business where 9 years I've not missed a day. I can't miss a day. So I do have to be a little bit careful where I go and where I stay. And that's why I always stay, right in the heart of downtown. And I make sure I've got, 7 backup plans for internet cafes and all that thing in case something goes wrong. Make sure there's 24 hours a day internet cafes that I can duck off to. Yeah, it's a big concern. Probably in the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to buy a boat. And it's always been my dream to live on a boat for a year. So I'll buy a boat, say in January or something in the Mediterranean, live on it for a year, and then sell it at the end of the year. Just get that experience and then move on. And obviously the big concern about that is internet, right? What am I going to do? Obviously, I would want to stay close to shore, but I also have this idea that how cool would it be to do streams on a boat, or if I'm in, Monaco or something, or if I'm in Greece or Croatia, that there are people in both the VTS community, but also on social media, asset managers. I could do interviews. That'd be cool. Do little meetups for VTS. That'd be awesome. So my primary concern is Wi-Fi. Yeah. I can relate to that. What is the best volatility stock to micro scalp day trade? CB improvements. Thank you for the question. I could ramble about this one all day. I'll try to be super succinct here. There are no volatility stocks. They're not stocks. I'm going to assume that the semantics aside, right? It's not stocks. It's based on VIX futures, and it moves based on an underlying index, the SPVIX STR index. So you don't mean, like when you're saying micro scalp day trade, that worries me because that might imply, and of course this is super informal and I have no idea what your actual point is, but it might imply that you think buying and selling and the volume of the products is actually dictating your scalping ability. And if that's what you're saying, I would say no. You definitely want to stick to actual stocks and indexes that are influenced by volume. The VXX and UVXY, they are not influenced by volume. It's not a supply and demand product. So it's entirely based on an underlying index and a methodology of tracking VIX futures. And you can't, aside from I think it's going to go up, so I buy, or I think it's going to go down and sell, aside from the binary, you can't do intraday predictions. It just doesn't work that way. So not a stock. Oh, wait, somebody said here, maybe correcting me, thought you were looking for a volatile stock. Let me just go up and best volatility stock, volatile stock. Sorry, if you meant you're looking for the most volatile stocks, so that makes more sense. So now that when you're scalping, you can actually get some moves. Got to punt on that question because I don't trade that way. I'm not a day trader. I don't rely on technical analysis at all. And I know very little about stocks, like actual stocks. The most volatile ones, well, we talked about GameStop, right? GameStop was up 55% today. That seems like a pretty good stock to scalp. Hopefully we're on the right side of it, but I don't focus on those types of things. I focus on things that I can control as many variables as possible. That's what my investing is about. It is just simply, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I do know with reasonable accuracy that I have a better than 50-50 statistical chance to be on the right side of those trades because I've done my homework and I've mined all the data from the past and I know how the markets move in certain volatility ranges. That's what I do, right? It's just a preponderance of volatility statistics. That's all it is. What are your thoughts on more speculative investments or commodities like gold, silver, oil, Bitcoin, marijuana, uranium, corn, etc.? I'm guessing I'm gonna get a lot of these types of questions because I've already answered that, I feel like 2 or 3 times earlier in this stream. I'd be wary to call them investments. That's the first thing I'd say. You did say speculative, so that's fine. The things that you're talking about are are very difficult to quantify, right? So I've already talked about Bitcoin today. Of course, it's what I call the greater fool investment, not an insult. That's the economic term. So let's say marijuana, for example. I'm sure there are certain patterns and certain metrics that you could gather, and it would help you better navigate the marijuana space, right? You could learn as much as you can about that space, and you could become a better trader of that sector. The problem is there are still just way too many variables. There are things that are just unknown and things that can shock that market. And how can you account for all of those variables? So one of the reasons I love volatility trading so much is because I have extensive data, and it's not volatile. It's very predictable. It's consistent. The volatility metrics that I see today are the exact same metrics that we saw in 2011. The COVID crash flagged, even though the absolute levels of the market and the levels of the stocks and all of it is totally different, right? The S&P now is at 3,800. It was way below that back then. The volatility levels are the same during COVID crash as they were in the European debt crisis. Can you say the same thing about marijuana? No, because regulation's different, laws are different. You know, the maturity of the market changes. So while you can become better at those things that that list that you mentioned, you can definitely become better. And I would encourage you to research and do your homework and get your head down and do the work. You have to understand that in those commodity sectors, there's always going to be unknowns. There's always going to be shocks. There's always going to be things that take you by surprise. No matter how knowledgeable you are, you're going to get surprised sometimes. And it's pretty rare that I get surprised by anything in the volatility space because it's so established and you know, it's very consistent, period to period. You can't get your head around all the investment areas. Absolutely true. You have to specialize in certain things. So maybe you're a specialist of marijuana stocks. I don't know. But you can't ever fully master it because it's not a developed market yet. But yeah, I would say narrow your focus. Don't, uranium, marijuana, Bitcoin, gold, silver. Come on, let's pick one and try to just nail down a real profitable system for trading one of those. Do you know the average decline of VXX over a year? Well, I can show you what the average decline factors are. Sure. Let me make sure I'm on a screen share here. No, I wasn't. That would have been a mistake. I'll do no picture in picture. So hopefully you're seeing this. I have to minimize it and maximize it just to make sure you're seeing this. So where's my page? So you said VXX, right? So here's a little bit of data for you for VXX. The average daily decline of the VXX is minus 0.238% per day. So what that looks like is, this is a chart of the VXX. This blue line is a logarithmic chart of the VXX going back to the launch of VIX futures in March 2004. That's what it looks like. And this red line is a regression line decaying at minus 2.38% per day. And it, of course, it arrives at the exact same point. You can see 1679. So this is 1 day decay, 2.38. This is a 5-day decay. So every week, on average, the VXX decays minus 1.186% every 5 days. Every 21 days on a monthly is minus 4.887. So what that looks like on a monthly is this. So there's the regression of that decay factor arriving at the same point, 2 decades later. I don't have the yearly, but what I could do is I'll take a note of this question, and the next time I do a live stream, I will have let's say, a 90-day, and then I will also include an annual, and we can have the regression of all of them. So, we have the SPVIX STR index. I've got that data. Got the UVXY, UVXY decay factor. TVIX, it's delisted now, but we can dive into that in a live stream if people are interested in that. But annual for about a year, you're looking at an average decay of about 50 to 55%, give or take. And that's going to be arithmetic. So geometric compounding, it'll be a little bit higher than that. I was in Namibia last year and visited the world's largest uranium mine. How interesting would that be? Western companies selling all their mines to the Chinese government. Yeah, the Chinese have really been buying up a lot of commodities around the world. That's the thing. Like, you can look at these things and you can look at these macro events, and I totally agree that it might help and it might strongly help your trading. But again, it just feels like there's a lot of unknown variables there, on those markets, that you just feel like anything could happen. And I don't feel that way with my trading. I never feel uneasy. I'm just 9 years. I feel totally like I've got a handle on it. I've got enough data and enough understanding. I've been doing it long enough. I'm not going to get floored by anything. Nothing's going to surprise me. And I'm saying this as someone who's never traded uranium, or marijuana or Bitcoin. It just feels like there's a lot of variables there. So A. Pearson asks, this is what you're losing in that position, the decay. Yeah, that's what it looks like if you would just decay the VXX since VIX Futures launched on March 26, 2004. That's what it looks like. It's a pretty ugly picture, That's the volatility products. But the right way to look at that is not, wow, we should just short with both hands. You just blindly short this thing. No, that's not the right way to look at it. VXX is an insurance product. And if you were to plot, rolling 30-day put options on the S&P 500, the chart would look exactly the same. That's what insurance products look like. They decay. If it didn't decay over time, then everyone in the world would hold long volatility and hedge their portfolio all the time. If there was no decay factor and no downside to holding it, then everyone in the world would be fully hedged at all times. And the markets would cease to exist as we know them. That's not how markets work. So there has to be a decay factor. So the VXX, yeah, it looks like an ugly chart, and it does provide opportunities to trade it on the short side if you manage capital and check your allocation sizing and you really know what you're doing. There are opportunities there. But the bottom line is it's an insurance product and it has to decay. By very design, it has to. If it didn't, the markets would cease to exist. That's not how it works. Have you ever done a study on what is the largest decline of the S&P 500 for any given VIX or VTS barometer level on the previous day? Yeah, it's buried in spreadsheets somewhere. I'll take a note of this question and I'll dig it up, and you can either remind me in an email, or the next time we do a stream, you can hit me up, and hopefully I've added it to this. The problem is, like I said, I've been doing this for so many years that I have spreadsheets that crash my computer at this point. So it's one of those situations where I have that data. I mean, it rings a bell, but I don't want to sift through all my spreadsheets and make everybody in the stream watch. So what I probably should do, and hopefully I'm not totally dodging your question here, but I should probably have a little checklist of things that people ask that I want to revisit at another time. And this would be one of them. So sorry about that. I'm getting the feeling that if I continue sitting here, people will keep asking questions. And I don't know what these live streams are supposed to be. I have no idea. I don't know where they're going. But I had the idea that maybe they would be structured some way. So maybe I would do a little intro, I'd do a little show, I'd open it up to questions, and hopefully the questions are specific enough to what I was talking about that it would be sort of a nice bookended show. I'm starting to get the impression that's not how this is going to work. So I don't know whether I should just bounce around like I am, or whether I should go through and try to figure out which question is related to which one and maybe answer them in a sequence. I'm struggling a little bit here because the comment section is skipping on me. So it'll freeze for a while, and I don't know if I'm even live anymore on YouTube. And then it'll just have this big jump where I miss, 10 questions. So trying to manage as best I can as an absolute rookie in this business, this live stream business. It's catching on, though. I mean, one of the reasons is I just love to challenge myself. I'm a super competitive person, and I'm more competitive with myself than anything else. I have this drive to always do things that are hard, right? I don't know if that's a trope that, psychologists will say, but we really do need to do hard things. So that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, is just it's catching on a lot in this world. So if you're watching this, maybe you should try it as well. Maybe if you've got an expertise, if you've got something to say, you should do it as well. And it's very hard. This is really, really tough. But yeah, I don't know how I'm going to go with this. Speaking of live streaming, do I know Peter Schiff? I'm aware of Peter Schiff. I don't know Peter Schiff. It's possible that at some point I've criticized one of his tweets and maybe he engaged back with me. But yeah, I'll say I'm well aware of Peter Schiff's work. Yeah. And I guess I said that kind of condescendingly. I shouldn't have done that. Let's say I agree with half of what he says, and half of it leaves something to be desired, I think. This way we have the option to attend the live streams relevant. Yeah, exactly. Great point. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to say, look, I'm going to blast something out on Twitter and, to the VTS community. I'm going to say, today we are going to be talking about the difference between the VIX mean and the median and the mode, right? And I'm going to make a show about that, right? So I'll go through my data. Of course, I'll try to remember to do the picture-in-picture. I will go to my spreadsheet, which I will have prepared a little bit of a show for people. And I will say, what's the difference between the VIX mean, the VIX median, why isn't this loading, and the VIX mode, right? And I can maybe prepare a little bit of a show based on this, where I'm just going to be rambling for a while. And then afterwards, I would open it up to questions. And then hopefully, at least for a few minutes, it would be questions relevant to the show I just put on. And then later on, we can talk about, gold and Peter Schiff and the end of the world and whatnot. But yeah. Yeah, exactly. Nitro STR4, I think you hit the nail on the head there. People will ask questions as long as I'm sitting here. If the tables were turned and I was on a live stream with a professional golfer, right? Well, I'm a professional golfer, so that's a bad example. I'm super interested in physics, astrophysics especially. If I had an opportunity to be on a stream with one of the physicists that I like, I would ask questions all day long until they literally shut the stream off. So it's possible that we're experiencing a little bit of the same here. I didn't think I'd be here for 3 hours and 13 minutes on one coffee. One coffee. I didn't even have to use my thing. Yeah. I'm super engaging with the comment section. I mean, thanks for that. I feel like I'm not. I feel like I need to really work on that I'm missing a lot here. And some of the questions I'll ramble on for 5 minutes, and some of them I'll punt on the question and say, I'll get you next time. I really have to work on that. I want everybody to make sure that they feel that, that they're having fun. I hope it's not super boring. Maybe I'll give you a view. But B, maybe learn something. Get your questions answered, right? That's the point of this. Engage. Different from most YouTube investing channels. I hope so. And some of the things I say might sound condescending. I'm open-minded. I'm never against people trying to make their money. I mean, I've never stand in the way of a man to try to make money, right? I'm on the side of people who do work, whether I believe in the ethics of what these YouTubers in the financial industry are doing. I mean, that's my own thing. I have to deal with that myself, but I don't mean to sound too condescending. I don't see that many people genuinely trying to help. And the few people that I do, I will promote them as much as I possibly can, because there are very few things in life more important than investing. I mean, really, honestly, I know I'm not curing cancer here, but helping people grow their retirement funds is not only super rewarding work for me, but it's also really important. I mean, it opens, if you can get financial success, and I don't mean, hey, I'm going to double your account in 6 months, not all that. I'm talking about finding a place where you can be confident that you can navigate the next 10 years. Maybe there's periods you didn't win as much as you wanted to win, but you can feel confident that you're growing towards something. I feel like that's one of the most important jobs in the world. So I'm probably overly negative about the other things that I see, but YouTube's just a dumpster fire when it comes to investing stuff. And that's why people like David Lincoln, right? The Short Vol Show, Vix Crush, where however you want to find him. I've gone over it several times. That's why I just have so much respect for people like that just working so hard to do something and legitimately trying to help people. I mean, have you ever seen him do marketing videos? And no. You ever seen, I guarantee you, David Lincoln, he's been trading for 25 years. He's been an actual market maker. He's been an educated SIBO market maker. I guarantee you he's had bigger wins than all of us, right? You ever see him make a video about, watch me make 42% in 5 minutes? He would never make that video. And that's one of the reasons why you have to gravitate towards the people that are doing genuine work, and you really have to try to block out this social media environment. It's very toxic out there. Do you have any favorite books, fiction or nonfiction? This might come as a surprise to some of you, but I don't actually read books. I just don't have the bandwidth to read books. I used to. Many years ago, I used to read. No, I do my work. My work's extremely time consuming. I work very, very long hours, and I don't have enough hours in the day. I mean, there's never a time when I feel like my work is done. I go to bed at night and I'm up as soon as I wake up, and I'm at my desk within 5 minutes with a coffee, and I'm going again. I don't know where people find the time to read. So what I end up doing, as I've mentioned before, it's still nice out there. I'm going to go out for a run later. I will listen to audiobooks, but they tend to be more the motivational type things. Like I'm into, David Goggins podcasts and whatnot. I'll listen to stuff like that. And occasionally I'll do a finance thing. Like if there's a finance book I want to listen to, I'll do an audiobook. But mostly it's just running. I'll just listen to that. Or when I'm doing my spreadsheets, it's playing in the background. But no, I don't read any books. Nope. All right, there's a pause here, so I don't know if that means that I'm shut down or if you're just out of questions. Is that what that means? What is there? There's 59 people. That's dipping a little bit, so people are probably tired. Wonder if we should... Oh, there we go. That sounds worse than it is, but he's referring to David Goggins. So, there you go. Last Maverick. That comment could be misconstrued. Yeah, I think that's... What do you think? Shut it down now? Maybe I'll prepare a show for this Saturday. I'll open up my spreadsheet. I'll see what you guys might find interesting. And I'll see if I can get some more structure. But I cannot thank you guys enough for helping me test this software. it was so intimidating because I can do everything on the back end in a private, but I couldn't test the comment section, the what you can see, what you can't see when I do screen shares. You know, do you see stuff like this moving around? So super helpful. Thank you so much. I feel almost bad ducking out. I don't know why. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. I'm going to stop the stream. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.